Good morning, Ann Arbor, Michigan, and welcome inside the Big House, home of your defending Big Ten champions, the Michigan Wolverines. I'm your host, Amer Bektas, and alongside me, Ryan Dolson. Zach Linder will be joining us later in the show. Ryan, welcome to the Big House. How are we feeling?
I am so excited. Cannot believe this day is finally here. Opening day for the Michigan Wolverines against the Colorado State Rams. I said this in a previous broadcast I did earlier this week, but it truly feels like this offseason was the longest of my life. So much to talk about, so many different stories, so much to be excited about. Football is finally back, baby.
Football is finally back. Talking season is officially over. Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverines gave us plenty of content to talk about this season, but let's just start out with the biggest story of them all, the quarterback battle. Jim Harbaugh in his press conference let everybody know that Cade McNamara will be the starting quarterback in Week 1 against Colorado State, and then in Week 2 against Hawai'i
at the night game.
JJ McCarthy will be the starting quarterback, and then they will name the season starting quarterback in Week 3 against UConn. What are your thoughts on Jim Harbaugh's, non-traditional approach to that, and, how it's kind of like what he said, biblical?
Yeah, I wasn't really sure of the decision at first. I wasn't really sure that I liked it. Seemed a little kind of, seemed a little interesting, maybe complicating things, but the more I think about it, the more I hear from Harbaugh, the fact that I'm here on game day, I definitely understand it. I think I kind of like it. This is definitely the kind of game, you got two excellent quarterbacks, both of them, looking to make a name for themselves, both looking to start. Give them both a chance, sink or swim. These are the teams to be doing it against. Colorado State finished 3-9 last year, so definitely a good team for Cade to be starting up against. Hawai'i looked, I'll be honest, terrible in that Week 0 loss, letting Vanderbilt put up 60 on them, so that's a good game for JJ to go. And then against UConn, perfect game for whoever's decided the starter, kind of let them cool down their nerves, let them know that they got the job. These are the perfect games to be making maybe some of those mistakes with, deciding who's going to be in charge.
Now, just looking at the quarterback battle, let's also switch it to the other side of the ball on the defensive side. Michigan losing Aiden Hutchinson, David Ojabo. What do you expect the defense to do this season? Or do you expect it to be like a team approach where everybody, fills in those shoes? Because those guys left some pretty big shoes to fill in.
Definitely. Some very key defensive people leaving. You got, selected by the Detroit Lions. I'm literally already forgetting his name. It has been a long morning already. Aiden Hutchinson, definitely going to be a force that is going to be missed on this defensive squad. Somebody is going to have to step up for the Wolverines, see if they can make a name for themselves in the same way that he did.
Now, sticking even with the loss of all the players this season, Hassan Haskins was just phenomenal last year. Where do you expect the running back room to be going into this season?
I'm definitely interested to see, obviously both QBs. I think Harbaugh is really going to favor the pass this week and next week so that he can really get all the footage he needs, see who's ready to be the starting QB. I'm not expecting a whole lot of runs from Michigan today, but I'm excited as to what we're going to see. I think it's going to be a really passing heavy game, but as you said, those running backs, I think, going to be really exciting.
Also, the news story is the turnover at, the coaching position. You had Mike McDonald leave to go back to Baltimore, leaving that defense. What do we expect in first-year Jesse Minter's regime here?
Definitely, it's going to be could be a bit of a harsh change for the Wolverines. We have a bit of don't want to mince words here, cupcake schedule to start off the year, so hopefully this is the time where you really realize which players are stepping up, which players aren't quite ready for the big leagues yet, see which defensive schemes are working, see which ones aren't, and go further from there, because our first real challenge isn't really until Iowa, I'd say until October, Obviously, Big Ten play in Maryland. Big Ten play in Maryland at the Big House, I believe, is always bit of a scary one. But I think especially for these first 3 games, as I've been saying, this is the time to be making mistakes. Definitely don't panic. Don't be flipping over tables. Don't be breaking stuff if you see a couple not great mistakes in these first 3 games. This is the time to be making them. This is the time to be, moving some pieces around.
Yeah, now plenty of stories to talk about, even at the national level. Yesterday it was announced that the college football playoff will be expanding to 12 teams in 2026, potentially earlier, depending on, how the contracts work out and how they set everything up. As I welcome in Zach Linder into the show, is the CFP expansion good for college football?
Well, I think most importantly it was inevitable, and I think it was good to see from a business perspective that they were able to reach an agreement that would really benefit everyone. Because when you looked at what was happening back in January, February, everyone knew they needed to be expanded, and yet because everyone had their own self-interest that prevented them from reaching an agreement, everyone lost. Now, from a fan perspective, I really don't think it will change that much, because it would be great to see a 12-seed random school come in and go beat Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State. But to me, the reality is the best teams will be the best teams, and most likely college football is going to be running through the same teams. Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson. Other teams will get into the playoffs, but we saw last year Michigan and Cincinnati each making their first appearance, and both just got blown out in the semifinals, and we had another Alabama-Georgia championship game. So at the end of the day, I really just don't think it's going to change that much as far as who's going to win the college football playoffs.
Now, it's already been discussed how the top 4 teams will, host a game, and Ohio State's already said, we would potentially be looking at playing this game indoors. What are your thoughts on, having a home playoff game as the Michigan team is, getting ready to get onto the field here at the Big House? How big of a home field advantage is it for a team to have?
Well, I mean, the first thing is the top 4, I believe once they get to the final 8, that was going to be bowl games. So it'd only be the 5 through 12. So, I mean, in all likelihood, Ohio State would be going straight to the bowl games. But certainly for the teams that are playing home games, there is a huge advantage that you don't have once you get to the neutral sites. And I do think overall, obviously, you look at some of these schools that have huge home field advantage anyway in the regular season. It would be bigger in the playoffs. I do think it would be good for the sport in a sense that I just think it's more fun. It's a better atmosphere when you're at a home team stadium and you do have that home field advantage versus going to a neutral site, which does eliminate that. So I do think it's an interesting addition, although it is only going to be those first 4 games with the 5 through 12 seeds.
Yeah, personally, I think it's a great idea. It puts more emphasis on regular season games, because now the problem is with only 4 teams that get in, it's like if you lose early on, you're like, oh, well, the season's over. We don't really have an opportunity unless there's chaos at the top, and you really don't expect teams like Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, Ohio States of the world, to really fall anywhere on the schedule. But, you lose a potential early season game, you still have an opportunity to, not only make the playoff, but also to compete for a chance to host a game. And I can't wait to see Michigan host their first ever playoff game here in the future. But we'll focus on this year and now. Going off of last year's historic run to the college football playoff, Michigan finally getting over the hump of beating Ohio State. How does this year's team, catapult what they learned from last year to this season?
Well, I think their offense last year was headlined by their running game with Hassan Haskins, who's graduated, and Blake Corum, who they still have and projects to be the lead back this year. And then obviously dominant defense, of course, lost more pieces there, of Aiden Hutchinson being the main one, going to the Detroit Lions with the number 2 overall pick. I do think their passing game needs to improve, and obviously that's why Harbaugh's experimenting with having 2 quarterbacks, which is a controversial idea to do in the regular season. But as Ryan said earlier, the schedule now really does allow them to do this with who they're playing right now.
Yeah.
So I think definitely they need to try to improve the passing game a little more to have more of a dynamic offense. And then obviously the defense will need to continue their dominance from last year without some of their key pieces. So it'll be interesting to see how well their first real test is going to be in 4 weeks from now at Iowa, and then later that in October they have games against Penn State and Michigan State. It'll be interesting to see how well the defense plays, and then whether or not their passing offense is able to become a little more dynamic.
Yeah, and let's just quickly look at some Big Ten games that took place yesterday. Number 15, Michigan State defeated Western Michigan 35-13. That game was a lot closer than Sparty wanted it to be. Indiana defeated Illinois 23-20. And then on Thursday, Penn State and Purdue played a great game. Penn State won that game 35-31. Kind of, everybody this season is expecting Ohio State, to win it all this year. Who are some teams that we should keep an eye on in the Big Ten that will give Ohio State trouble?
Well, I think you look at the Big Ten East, and you obviously have the 4 teams: Ohio State, Michigan, Michigan State, Penn State. I think Michigan State and Penn State are both teams to look at. Penn State really had a down year last year, only going 7-5 in the regular season, losing to Iowa in the Citrus Bowl. And then Michigan State had a great year, finishing 11-2 with a Peach Bowl win over the Pittsburgh Panthers. So I think those are the two, along with Michigan, of course. I think the 2 most interesting teams in the East are going to be, can Michigan State continue their great turnaround last year after a 2-win season in 2020, and then can Penn State rebound from what was probably by most of their fans considered an unsuccessful season.
Yeah. So we're about 10 minutes away from kickoff. What are your final thoughts on today, and what would be, what would satisfy Michigan's fan base?
I think the biggest thing, strong play from Cade McNamara as he establishes why he should be a starting quarterback. Maybe a little less safe play and more risk taking, but still obviously controlling the ball.
Yeah, and the crowd is still filing in. I would like to thank Zach Linder for being on the show today, as well as Ryan Dolson. We have reached the conclusion of our pregame show. Zach Linfield is making his way up into the booth. Today's weather forecast calls for partly cloudy skies with temperatures reaching highs of 82. Zach Linfield, welcome to the show, my man.
It's about time we're back up here, Amer. It's been almost way too long since you and I were last in here for the spring game back in April. I mean, wow, we look back and it's only, 4 or 5 months from where we sit today, but it was also about 7 months from the last time you and I called a real football game against Georgia down in the college football playoff, and you and I both vividly remember the result of that game and how Michigan was disappointed after, but boy, did they say, we'll be back. And well, we're back. It's finally time to play football. Welcome to the Big House in Ann Arbor, Michigan. My name's Zach Linfield. Amer Bektas joins me to my right, play-by-play guy all season for you. Amer will be with me quite a few times as well on WCBN FM Ann Arbor. Well, James Earl Jones is about to speak down to 110,000 of his closest friends here in the Big House. But Amer, there are plenty of things to highlight. And first off, it's for Colorado State, the opponent today. And it's the key to the game for Michigan. And for me, I'm going to say that's staying composed. This is a brand new Colorado State team. They could throw plenty of wrenches into the sink against Michigan because really who knows what we're going to see from this air raid style offense that Colorado State runs.
Yeah, I mean, with Colorado State, they fired their coach last year. They got a new coach in Jay Norvell coming in. He's a coach from Nevada, brought in his top 2 wide receivers. So expect Michigan's defense, especially their secondary, to get tested today. I don't believe it'll be too easy of a cakewalk, but whenever a team like Colorado State comes into such a big atmosphere, like the Big House, 110,000 people, it's intimidating. And to, potentially do an upset, they got to score early, but I don't believe they can do that against this Michigan team.
Well, it's a team that's got 54 new guys on their roster. I mean, talk about turnover. They bring in 12 different transfers from the University of Nevada. Jay Norvell was the head coach. It's a brand new coaching staff. None of their coaches for Colorado State are second-year guys. It's all first year for Colorado State. Jay Norvell transfers over from Nevada 1 year after the Wolfpack. Man, they dominated Colorado State. And the star player for Colorado State today is an outside receiver, He's a vertical threat. His name's Torrey Horton. He wears number 14. He scored 2 touchdowns against Colorado State last year as a member of the Wolfpack. So Colorado State's got some very good receivers. They've got a couple of good defensive linemen as well, and we're excited to see what Colorado State brings to the table. But for Michigan, it's staying composed. Amir, what's your key to the game today?
You know, like you said, you mentioned it, stay composed. You know, Michigan's going to do what Michigan's done, and we can expect this from a Harbaugh-led offense, is keep the ball on the ground. You know, establish the run game, especially when you're playing a team against like Colorado State. It's the first game of the year. You know, there's a lot of nerves. The Michigan Wolverines haven't taken the field since early January when they got blown out against Georgia. There's a lot of extra energy. There's that chip on the shoulder. This team knows that Ohio State is favored, you know, to not only win the Big Ten, but win it all, and they are very well aware that that's what is said. But for Michigan, you just got to figure out, you know, how this offense is going to roll. You want to keep it on the ground, but also you want to test the air. There is so much talent on this offensive side of the ball. And we were just about to mention it, Ronnie Bell, the return of Ronnie Bell. Last year, injured towards ACL against Western Michigan, coming back this year. Not only is he a talented player, but also his leadership for this team. The leadership that Ronnie Bell brings to this offense, that's what I'm looking forward to, is just to see the return of Ronnie Bell, and also the defensive side of the ball. How do they, you know, fill the shoes of David Ojabo and Aiden Hutchinson? They left huge shoes to fill. Right now, I don't think there's one specific player that can do it by himself, but it's going to be, you know, a team effort. Everybody does their part, they'll be fine.
Well, the Wolverines, they've taken the field in their traditional home uniforms, the famous winged helmet, the navy tops, and the maize bottoms. Colorado State from Fort Collins, Colorado, out of the Mountain West Conference. They are about to take the field, and there they are with the state flag and the American flag leading the front in their Los Angeles Rams-type helmets and their ivyish green and gold in the all-white uniforms. Amir, let's go over the starting lineups, which we expect to see today for the Wolverines. Now, we know Michigan's got a couple of injuries they're dealing with. However, against a team like Colorado State, no disrespect, you'd rather have them for the weeks like week 4 against Maryland to start the Big Ten slate, a team that's got a good quarterback in Talia Tagovailoa, that Michigan might need their speedier linebacker, Nakai Hill-Green. He's expected to miss today's ball game. But the starting lineup across the front for the Wolverines is Ryan Hayes, Trevor Keegan, Olu Oluwatimi, Zach Zinter, and Trente Jones. The quarterback today, Cade McNamara, will get the start, and next week under the lights against Hawai'i, also from the Mountain West, will be JJ McCarthy. The starting receivers we expect to see today, the top 3, Cornelius Johnson, Roman Wilson, and how about the return of Ronnie Bell, Amir? It's going to be nice to see Ronnie back out. And Eric All will get the start at tight end, along with Luke Schoonmaker, some names that we remember from last season. Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards will be the running backs, and for Michigan on the defensive end, expect up front to see the starters Mike Morris and Jalen Harrell on the edges. Chris Jenkins, Mozzie Smith, the defensive captain up front. At linebacker, Junior Colson will get the start, along with we expect to see Khalil Mullings get the call to start the game for George Helo's linebackers. At cornerback, DJ Turner, Mike Sainer still a nickel, and Jamon Green on the outside. And at safety is Rod Moore and R.J. Moten, the kickers. Brad Robbins will punt, and kicking away for Michigan today should be Jake Moody. And a bit of a question mark, you're right, Amir, you sent a note over to me. Ryan Hayes was in street clothes before the game. He did go through a bit of a warm-up, but we do not know quite yet if Ryan Hayes will be the starter on offense. If he is not, expect Carson Barnhart to be the tackle to start for Michigan.
Yeah, and that offensive line, they're not missing a beat from last year, and I think that's going to be their core going into this season. That's why they were so successful last year, is that line creating gaps for Hassan Haskins to score 5 touchdowns on Ohio State, and expect the same this year. And I'm really excited to see Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. Donovan Edwards in his sophomore season, I believe he's going to be really, really special to play. A player, he can run it, he can catch it, he can throw it. We saw it in the Big Ten championship game, 75 yards to Roman Wilson. It's going to be a lot of fun to see this year.
Michigan led by Coach Jim Harbaugh, back for yet another season. He said that final game against Georgia, Amir, that was not the end of what he's trying to put together here at Michigan. He said this is just the beginning of what Michigan is doing. And, well, if that's just the beginning, that means there's 2 more games that Michigan has to win. That's the semifinal and eventually the final at some point. But it starts here today. You can't look over games like this, especially against a team that is very pass happy. Let's go quickly over the starting lineup for Colorado State and what we expect to see on offense. Clay Millen will get the start today. The last start Clay Millen had was in high school in front of 40 people during his COVID season. Transfer receivers Melquan Stovall and Torrey Horton, both from Nevada, will get the start on the outside, and expect Ajon Vivens, the PPR-style Christian McCaffrey type back for Colorado State. Well, Michigan, they will receive the opening kickoff from Colorado State this afternoon. And Amer, it's nice to say it, but what a football game we have here this afternoon. Colorado State and Michigan 2022 season about set to get underway. Chairs in the air, 7 Nation Army blaring on the PA system at the Big House in Ann Arbor, Michigan. 110,000 plus in attendance. It's the largest crowd that Colorado State has ever played in front of since 2017. 101,000 filled into Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, when they were blown out by the #1 team in the country, the Alabama Crimson Tide. We are just about set to kick this ball away. Colorado State running up to the football, and we are underway from Ann Arbor. A squib kick right down the middle and through the back of the end zone. Roman Wilson bounces out of the way, and just like that, we're playing football from the Big House in Ann Arbor.
Welcome back, college football. We missed you.
Henry Kadelman was the kicker for Colorado State. And, well, just as we expect, number 12 in the maize and blue takes the field at quarterback. Well, Jim Harbaugh certainly not a liar. Cade McNamara will get the start at quarterback for the Wolverines. And his running back to start the game, 7 yards deep, is Blake Corum. One tight end in the formation. He's on the right side. That's Luke Schoonmaker. 3 receivers in the set. Roman Wilson motion from left to right. McNamara turns left, hands off. Corum right up the middle, pushes forward. That's a gain of 4. He followed his big guard, Zach Zinter from Massachusetts. It'll be 2nd and 6.
Yeah, did we expect anything other than a run up the middle of Blake Corum? I mean, Michigan, you gotta love it when they can move the ball or run the ball up the field.
Daquan Jackson, the talented linebacker for Colorado State, was on the stop. 2nd and 6 for Michigan. Empty backfield as Blake Corum motions out to the right. 2 left, 3 to the right for McNamara. Cade drops, plenty of time, now rolls out to his right. Wide open receivers, Johnson, but he throws it right at his shoelaces, bounces off the ground, and it's incomplete. 3rd down and 6 upcoming for Michigan. No one truly was in coverage except for maybe the nickelback, Tywan Francis.
Yeah, as McNamara had to, escape the pocket, he had Johnson open right at that 1st down marker, just missed him, hitting him right in the shoelaces.
An 0-for-1 start for Cade McNamara here on the first drive. 3rd down and 6 yards to go. Donovan Edwards, the sophomore running back from West Bloomfield, now into the backfield. 3 receivers wide right, including Eric All. 1 wide to the left. One-on-one coverage is Johnson. McNamara looks for him, throws back shoulder incomplete. And the coverage for Colorado State was Chigozie Anusium. And it's 4th down and 6 yards to go. Michigan will have to turn the ball over to Colorado State. First drive only takes 45 seconds, Amer.
Yeah, not what you expect or want coming into your first drive, but, 45 seconds is not a lot of time to take off, but,
One of the biggest notes from this offseason for Michigan was the return of their special teams unit. Brad Robbins and Jake Moody are both back. Brad Robbins, boy, does he put a toe into this one. Melquan Stovall returns it. There's pressure on him immediately, and the crowd is all over it as Michigan's special teams unit does their job. Down at the 20-yard line, Colorado State will take over on offense for the first time with 14:04 to go in the first quarter.
Just paying attention to the sideline, JJ McCarthy is always running out there, giving high fives, being a great leader, and that's what I love to see. There was plenty of talk of, would JJ's transfer if he doesn't get the job? I don't believe so. When he's running up and down the sideline, shaking hands with every teammate, keeping everybody, getting their emotions up, that's a true leader.
Colorado State's got it for the first time. Clay Millen in the backfield as the quarterback. Ajon Vivens, the bullet in the pistol. Handoff left side Vivens. He's got some space. He'll cut up to the 24-yard line, and he's brought down there. And look who's the first one there, Amer. That's Mike Sainristil, the converted receiver.
Yeah.
About a pickup of 5. It'll be 2nd and 5.
Yeah, how about that? This offseason, Jim Harbaugh is telling us about how Mike Sainristil was going to switch over to the defensive side of the ball.
Colorado State likes to work fast in this air raid style of offense. Millen gets the snap. He looked for a tunnel screen to the right. That's complete to Torrey Horton. We knew all about him. Cuts it up the field at the 35, and he's out of bounds. He was marked a little bit short of that mark. He's to the 33 down the right sideline. It's a first down for Colorado State, and well, the first down of this game goes to the Rams.
Yeah, Colorado State must have watched film from Michigan State and Georgia to see that Michigan defense does not, they struggle when offensives try to do the up-tempo.
The tempo's up.
Yeah.
Clay Millen, the redshirt freshman quarterback from Washington, 6'3", 210 in the shotgun. He sends Vivens in motion out to the right. Millen looks across the middle, a wide open receiver. That's the tight end, Tanner Arkin. That's a pickup of 9 yards. It'll be 2nd down and 1 up to the 42-yard line, right on top of the numbers on the far sideline. Colorado State, a couple of successful plays to start. 1 run, 2 passes. Ajon Vivens still the back. 2 receivers wide out to the left. 1 wide right, Tanner Arkin from right to left in motion across the formation. Millen claps his hands, gets a high snap, hands off Vivens. Spaced right up the middle to the 45, and Mozzie Smith drags him down. But another Colorado State first down. He picks up 3.
Yeah, Colorado State, this is exactly what they want to do. Coming in to the big house, 110,000 people, moving the ball up the field. Michigan went 3 and out to start. Now Colorado State has their second first down.
Ajon Vivens is a converted receiver, a slot receiver now into the backfield. He'll get the swing pass out to the left. Michigan's on him immediately. That's a nice play by Big Mike Morris. There was a lot of expectations on the shoulders of Big Mike Mo this year. It's a loss of a yard, 2nd down and 11.
Yeah, keep an eye on Mike Morris all season long. I expect high things from him this year.
Michigan will substitute a lot as Colorado State tries to move fast. Millen gets the snap quickly, hands off left side. Here's Vivens. A lot of shifty movement from Vivens. He's near midfield to the left sideline, and he's down just shy of the 50. 49-yard line is the mark. That'll bring up 3rd down and 6. And this is Michigan's chance right here to get off the field, Amer. You know the pass is likely coming.
Yeah, pass is likely coming. Let's see what this defensive staff decides to do. Do they bring the pressure with the blitz, or do they stay back?
Clay Millen barking out the signals. First time he's gone closer to the sideline to get the call. Vivens is still the back to the right of him. In motion from left to right goes Melquan Stovall. That's a talented receiver. Michigan playing zone defense. Millen drops to throw. Pressure coming. He's hit. Gonna get sacked. Guess who? Mike Sainristil. His first sack as a Michigan Wolverine. Converted from receiver to nickelback. It's 4th down and 8 yards to go. Michigan will likely get the ball back.
I remember at Big Ten Media Days, players were asked, who are some guys you want to pay attention to this season? DJ Turner said, pay attention to Mike Sainristil, because this guy's going to be a freak on the other side of the ball right there. Gets his team to force the 4th down, and Michigan looks to get the ball back.
Patty Turner is in formation to punt away for Colorado State, and A.J. Henning is back deep, heels at the 10-yard line for the Wolverines. Michigan will move from left to right once they get the ball back. The Aussie punter, oh boy, what an odd kick. Bounces at the 20, and it will stay put right there. A bit of an odd spin on the ball, and there's some pushing back and forth going on between a Wolverine and a Ram in Colorado State territory. It looks like Braden McGregor. Boy, do we expect a lot from him this season.
Yeah, he's
especially coming off the edge in an Aiden Hutchinson type role.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at players like that, that were practicing last year against players like David Ojabo and Aiden Hutchinson, this is now their opportunity, to really shine. But going back to that punt, man, was that a funky punt, but it got a fortunate bounce to be out at the Michigan 20.
Well, with that, Amer, we can just go over Michigan's schedule to begin the first media timeout because, well, media timeouts are about 3.5 minutes long this season. That's a red flag, number 1. But number 2, it's a bit of an easier non-conference schedule. There's no skipping over that. Colorado State, Hawaii, and then UConn, and then they also play Maryland at home. And the Terrapins are no pushover. They've been known to fight against a couple of teams. For example, Ohio State a couple of years ago. They almost knocked off the Buckeyes in College Park, but that'll be a game here at home. But Michigan has had trouble, it seems like, against one team every year at the Big House. Last year it happened to be Rutgers. They only won 20-13. But it was a game all the way until the end where David Ojabo made his first big play of the season, sacking the Rutgers quarterback. And, well, you can't look over any of those teams until that premier matchup at Kinnick Stadium against the Hawkeyes.
Yeah, and, you know, Michigan, whenever they go to Iowa City, they always seem, that's like a trap game. Doesn't matter how good the team is or who it is. They always have trouble when they go to Iowa City. But, you know, the thing this year is, just like last year, they had energy that the Michigan Wolverines brought last year to Madison, Wisconsin. I just remember me and you up in the press box. As soon as jump around started, you had the Michigan players jumping on the sideline. At that very moment, you knew that this team was going to be special, that they were going to be different. What is this year's team's special moment going to be? It might be at Kinnick.
It's a very special place. Kinnick Stadium, and Michigan has not won there in quite some time. And, well, there's going to be a chip on the shoulder of the old Iowa Hawkeyes when Michigan faces off against Iowa come time to travel to Iowa City. Remember the drubbing in the Big Ten Championship game, 42-3. You and I were both there on the call for that game, and I mean, boy, oh boy, Michigan gave it to Iowa. But then after that, you look down the schedule, you've got Nebraska, who everyone thought might have a bit of a comeback here. Then you look back to week 0 in their performance against Northwestern. I mean, is Nebraska playing like the Nebraska we saw last year? Is it going to end up being the Nebraska that a lot of people thought that we might see? And, well, that starts for them today against North Dakota. But also, Michigan State did not look great last night. Peyton Thorne, I'm sure, will get it figured out. He's a good quarterback. And then down the line, you've got your Ohio States, Indiana, Illinois. It's a full schedule for Michigan, and we're excited for what the 2022 season can bring upon us. But we're finally back to playing ball. Well, we figured out media timeout number 1. Well done, Amer. Cade McNamara and the Wolverines have the football, first down and 10 from the left hash at exactly the 20-yard line. Blake Corum is the deep back in the pistol for the Wolverines, the bullet back. 2 tight ends in the formation for Michigan, 1 to each side. 2 wide receivers to the right. Handoff Corum. He's got space to the 20, 25, 30. Blake Corum left sideline, 35 to the 40. He's bounced out of bounds. First down for the Wolverines. That's their first one of 2022.
Man, the lightning back of Blake Corum, just the speed that he can bring to this offense going into his junior season. He had a special season last year as well, you know, had to deal with injury. I just go back to the play against Ohio State when he broke through and, you know, his ankle wasn't 100%. Yeah, his ankle wasn't 100%. If it was, he puts that in the end zone for 6.
39-yard line for the Wolverines, first down and 10. 49 is the yard to gain. McNamara will throw out to the right side. The speedy Roman Wilson's got it, 45-50. He breaks free down the sideline, 35-30. Wilson's got a burst to the 15, cuts inside, 10, 5, touchdown, Michigan. The Wolverines break through first. The junior from Honolulu, Hawaii. Michigan in front, 6-0. Cade McNamara. That's the easiest touchdown pass that young man will ever have.
There's your opening touchdown of the 22 season. Roman Wilson takes it to the house. You know, nothing crazy pass right there. That's Cade McNamara's bread and butter. You know, find the easy pass, and then you had wide receivers and tight ends blocking for Roman Wilson, and that's why he was able to get in the end zone and give Michigan the first touchdown of the day.
61 yards from McNamara to Wilson. Jake Moody puts it through the uprights, and the Wolverines have a 7-0 lead here in Ann Arbor over Colorado State, and just like that, we're underway scoring-wise for the Wolverines. A year after, the Michigan offense looked really good, but the defense was maybe even a little bit better. And now it's hard to compare. Everyone's talking about the offense for the Wolverines this season in comparison to the defense, saying that the offense is going to be just a little bit better. But I'm going to have to interrupt you because the #1 song in the country just happened to come on. It's time to pump it up here in Ann Arbor, but let's go right back to it. The offense may have a bit of an edge over the defense this year.
Yeah, the offense is pumped up this year. There's just so much talent on this offensive side of the ball. You know, you got a really talented wide receiver room, Cornelius Johnson, Ronnie Bell, you know, tight ends, Eric All, Luke Schoonmaker. You know, it's almost at the point it's like, how do you get the ball to everybody? How do you satisfy every player? I mean, I'm pretty sure Jim Harbaugh would be the coach to find a way to put 2 footballs out there, and then he can start both his quarterbacks. But there's only one football, and, you know, there's so much talent, and that's a good problem to have.
Well, Michigan's got a 7-0 lead with 9:49 to go in the first quarter. McNamara to Roman Wilson to get the scoring started here in 2022, and we look back to the play. It was a simple bubble screen. I mean, Wilson just happened to pop from his wide receiver stance, and he got a couple of blocks. And that's one of the biggest things that we saw last year was the downfield blocking for Michigan. I'm sure one play probably comes to mind immediately, and that was Blake Corum's run to get the scoring started in the Big Ten championship game against Iowa. And guess who put the block on?
JJ
JJ McCarthy down the sideline, and the quarterback. Number one, he beat Blake Corum down the field. And number two, he put his body on the line for his team. And that's a big reason why I'm sure Jim Harbaugh likes that kid so much and wants to keep him here in Ann Arbor so that he can finally get his chance. And, well, he will get his chance next week against Hawai'i. And I think you are just maybe probably more excited than I am to see JJ McCarthy, because I know what he's all about. I can see it at practice. You just want to talk about him all the time. But JJ McCarthy next week, that's going to be a treat to see under the lights.
Yeah, you know, they're 2 different styles of quarterbacks. You know, JJ McCarthy, you know, we don't know what to expect with him. You know, he can air it out, he can run it. But Cade McNamara, he protects the ball. You know, he's not flashy. He's not like high TV ratings. But, I mean, at the end of the day, you want a winning quarterback, and that's exactly what Cade McNamara is, a Big Ten championship quarterback. Would you want anything less? I mean, 2 plays, 80 yards, 38 seconds off the clock. That's pretty efficient.
That's what you'll ask for.
I mean, the defense might be like, yo, can we get a little bit of extra time to catch our breath?
Well, they got the 4-minute media timeouts. Was a Michigan team last season that was 68th in the country in pass and 15th overall in run. 214 rushing yards per game, 228 passing yards per game. Jake Moody set to kick the ball away, and well, Colorado State in their all-white uniforms with their green helmets with the ram horn a swirl on both sides are ready to take this ball back. 9:49 to play in the fourth quarter. Michigan's got a 7-0 lead thanks to a 61-yard pitch and catch from McNamara to Roman Wilson.
Well, the big house is packed from top to bottom.
Yeah, it's nice to see the students out here early to see the reigning Big Ten champs in person for the first time. Ajon Vivens says no thank you on the kick from Jake Moody. It bounces through the eye of the end zone in the south side, and Colorado State will take over for the second time.
You know, ever since Jim Harbaugh took over the Michigan Wolverines, there's always been high expectations. And this is the first season that this team is like, hey, look at what we did last year. We figured it out. We were able to beat Ohio State, won a Big Ten championship, made it to the college football playoff. Jim Harbaugh said in his Big Ten media days, there's 4 goals this season to do. Beat Ohio State and Michigan State in the same season, win the Big Ten title, and bring home a national championship.
7-0 Michigan. Colorado State's got the football, first down and 10. Left middle hash from the 25-yard line. Clay Milne, the quarterback, 3 receivers right, 1 to the left. Ajon Vivens is the back. He'll look out of the backfield to Vivens, brought down immediately by the sophomore linebacker, Junior Colson, right beyond the hash mark. It's a gain of 2 yards, second down and 8 for Colorado State.
Yeah, Colson, another player to keep an eye on. You know, with so many, you know, Josh Ross is gone this year. So, you know, having players like Junior Colson fill in is going to be crucial.
Especially with no Nakai Hill-Green today. Michael Barrett is the other linebacker for Michigan right now. Empty backfield for Clay Milne and Colorado State. 3 receivers left, 2 to the right. That includes the running back Vivens. Milne gets the snap, drops the throw, pressure coming from behind, fires across the middle, intercepted. Rod Moore's got it, 40-yard line, plus territory, 30, 25-20, 1 man to beat to the 15. Clay Milne makes the stop inside the 15-yard line. There's turnover number 1, and Rod Moore's got his first interception of his Michigan career. Just like that.
Well, that didn't take long for the Michigan Wolverines to settle in. I'm sure After the first 3 and out, 45 seconds into the game, Michigan Wolverine fans were like, is everything okay? But come back, 80-yard touchdown, now an interception, puts the Michigan offense in the red zone. Gotta love it.
And this is the time last year where you'd see Michigan, they'd go full power. They'd pull 2 of their linemen and do a run way out to the right. Now remember, Hassan Haskins, he may be gone, but Blake Corum, he's got those shifty moves. He can squeak between those little holes if you need him to. Yeah, so let's see what Michigan's going to pull out here. There's the 2 tight ends in the formation, Amer. 2 tight ends in the set. They're both out wide to the right, including Schoonmaker and All. McNamara, the quarterback, will drop the throw. Pressure coming, fires to Johnson, incomplete. McNamara missed him by a full 2 steps behind him in stride. And Cornelius Johnson will take a long walk off the field. A bit disappointed, still waiting on that first catch.
Yeah, Cornelius Johnson, the leading wide receiver in last year's team, as you mentioned, waiting for that first catch. Just a little bit thrown behind him as Ronnie Bell brings him off to the sideline. And that's what you love about Ronnie Bell, is bringing his teammate to the sideline and just the leadership that he brings. That's what the Wolverines missed last year.
8:56 to play in the first quarter. Michigan a 7-0 lead. McNamara will hand off to Corum. That's that play I was talking about where Michigan will pull 2 linemen, but there was a timeout called by Jay Norvell. And Colorado State, that's their first of this first half. And with 8:55 to play, we'll have to wait on the 2nd down and 10 snap with the Michigan 7-0 advantage from the Big House in Ann Arbor. Michigan was going to go full power there. They had 1 receiver, Angelo Anthony, and one-on-one coverage wide to the right, but it really looked like he was just a decoy. And I'll tell you what, if Michigan got that snap off, that's a touchdown.
And that's why the Colorado State Rams were running down that sideline like, timeout, timeout, timeout right now. And that's exactly what they got. But I'm sure we'll see the offense want to run that again.
Well, the interesting thing for Colorado State is that we talked about it a bit in the pregame show, that every single coach is brand new. So Michigan, offensively, they watched Nevada all week. Defensively, they watched Montana State for Freddie Banks' defense. He's also in his first year. And for special teams, they watched Texas San Antonio, UTSA. So they had to watch 3 different universities play football to get a grip on what Colorado State might do. 2 tight ends again in the formation. No, there's 3 in the formation for Michigan. McNamara hands off Corum, bounces outside, and he's going to fall down right at the 13-yard line. If he slipped away from that last defender, that's a Michigan touchdown. But nonetheless, he was brought down by a linebacker for Colorado State.
Yeah, Blake Corum is just so fast, so shifty. That was probably about inches away from breaking the tackle and getting into the end zone. But last year we had, the lightning power or thunder duo of Hassan Haskins and Blake Corum, but now Donovan Edwards, the sophomore, checks in.
Jack Howell, the safety, had the tackle on the last play. McNamara has 2 receivers wide right, 1 to the left. Edwards in motion out of the backfield. McNamara across the middle, intercepted inside the 5. His receiver, Eric All, fell down, and Colorado State, just like that, has it back. Eric All, the big tight end, returns for his senior season, and the turf monster got him, and it falls right into the hands of Jack Howell. He just made the stop, and now he's got an interception as well.
Yeah, just an unfortunate play. The dang turf monster.
Man, it'll get you. But Jack Howell, the native of Fort Collins, Colorado, where Colorado State plays their ball, he's got his first career interception. And, well, Colorado State's going to be backed up their own 4-yard line, moving from right to left. Are they going to review this? The white hat crew chief official.
This will be extended into a full media timeout as well.
So they're going to review it, and we'll have our media timeout. So what do we got for our second media timeout?
Well, I was going to try and talk to you about the rest of the Big Ten, and I know you mentioned a couple of things during your extended pregame show, but, I mean, Penn State did not look great against Purdue, but Purdue's supposed to be a pretty good ball club this year. Aiden O'Connell playing on his 24th number 1. Both Sean Clifford and Aiden O'Connell in their 6th season playing ball at 24 years old in college is one thing. But the fact that Penn State was able to pull that game out in West Lafayette, that's a pretty impressive thing for them to do.
Yeah, and that's just going to be muscle memory for Penn State because they come to the Big House this year. It's going to be a maze out. It's going to be a hostile environment. I'd imagine potentially a night game. All depends on what TV gets. TV gets it. But going into West Lafayette, Purdue, the Boilermakers, they're not going to be an easy win this year. They might be a team that was like Michigan State last year that, nobody really expected, but they'll make some noise. I don't think as much as Michigan State. But yeah, no, Penn State's a team to keep an eye on. It's your usual teams out of the Big Ten West. Penn State, Michigan State, Ohio State, Michigan.
It's for the East.
Big Ten East.
There you go.
Correct. I was jumping ahead to talk about the Big Ten West and PJ Fleck in Minnesota.
Is that your bet this year?
That might be a hot take that I'll save for DSR. They got Muhammad.
Hey, hold on now. Michigan just got the football back. So under further review, the pass is incomplete, but it will be 4th down and 10. So Jake Moody and the field goal unit will take the field for the Wolverines, and they may be able to take a multi-possession lead in this ball game.
I guess we can take back what we said about the turf monster, because the turf got us back.
And you know what kind of irks me a little bit, and I don't like to complain a lot about stuff like this, but under a timeout and an official review, you figured you'd like to see the replay on the board a couple times.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
I mean, with college football doing the expansion to 12 teams now, we can put in our request to have the reviews air on the big screen at all the stadiums.
Now, while we wait this extra 55 seconds, I'd like your take on that. You like the home games in the college football playoff?
I do.
Would you like to see a home game here in 0 degree weather?
I can't wait to see it.
I'd be bundled up. I mean, you and I would be calling it.
Yeah, we'll be bundled up, but I would love it. Just imagine 110,000 people inside this stadium.
You see,
for
but
a playoff game.
But my potential issue could be that's winter break. It's a ghost town here in the winter.
I'm sure we would make some changes to the schedule.
I'll buy tickets for a couple 100,000.
Yeah, but no, as I mentioned in the pregame show, I think it just adds more to the regular season games. If you lose a game early on, you still have a chance to host the game in that first round of the college football playoff.
And the top 4 seeds don't even get a chance.
Yeah.
It's interesting. All right, here we go. 7-0 lead for the Wolverines. Ball is placed at the 13-yard line, making this about a 30-yard field goal for the fifth-year senior Jake Moody. Brad Robbins, his partner through every single year of college, will be his holder. And William Wagner, who just earned a scholarship from Michigan last week, will be the long snapper. 30 yards from the left hash. Jake Moody looks it down. Snap is good, hold is good, kick is up away, and it is a good kick. Michigan leads 10-0, 8:06 to play here in the first quarter, and it's a double-digit lead for the Wolverines. The reigning Big Ten champs will kick it away to Colorado State momentarily, and we'll get another look at Clay Millen and the Rams offense, Amer.
Well, Money Moody looks just as good as last year's. We get the first Money Moody reference of the WCBN coverage of Michigan football. But my last thing on the college football playoff expansion is, why are they doing 6 automatic bids now? Especially because at that point, we're looking at 2 to 3 potential mega conferences.
You got that right.
So you wish the college football committee would have done this, 2-3 years ago, so then you don't have, your Texas and Oklahoma join the SEC, UCLA and USC join the Big Ten. We can talk about the Big Ten expansion as well later on. But, it's interesting. And I also read something that was kind of cool, but if this format was implemented at the beginning, the only non-Power 5 conference team that would have made the playoff is about 60-some miles down the road in Kalamazoo, the Western Michigan Broncos, coached by PJ Fleck at the time.
Right. Jake Moody sent to kick it away for Michigan. Back deep to return is the running back, Ajon Vivens. Man, that's a beautiful kick from Jake Moody right into the G of the south end zone, and it'll be 1st down and 10 for Colorado State. They'll take over from the 25-yard line, and we'll get to see the redshirt freshman transfer quarterback from Nevada, Clay Millen. You know, it really hasn't been a bad first two drives for Colorado State. One errant pass to a wide-open defensive back, Rod Moore, was the one mistake he's made so far. Other than that, one sack from the nickelback Mike Sainristil, who's looked really good on his first two drives for Michigan on defense. Colorado State was able to move the ball on their first drive, but that's pretty much been it. Clay Millen and Colorado State has 5 receivers wide, 3 to the right, 2 to the left. Ajon Vivens is in the formation as a slot back to the right. Millen gets the snap from the 25, looks across the middle. It's tipped and caught by Melquan Stovall to the 45. Oh boy. The linebacker Michael Barrett got a big mitten on it, but Melquan Stovall was able to come down with it. First down, Colorado State, a pickup of 20 yards. Clay Millen and the Rams offense goes quickly to the line. Another high snap, throws wide to the right. There's Torrey Horton again. Mike Sainristil fearlessly goes and grabs him, drags him down at the 47. It'll be second down and 8.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see this type of offense up-tempo from the Rams. You know, you get a big play. Michigan's kind of like depleted. Try to get them on their heels. But the thing of it is, the high snap. Now, when you try to do up-tempo, if you get another high snap, you know, risk-reward type of factor.
Ajon Vivens is the bullet in the pistol formation for Clay Millen. He'll clap his hands, does not get the snap. 3 receivers wide to the left. Ajon Vivens gets the handoff right up the middle. And how about that? That's the sophomore Rayshawn Benny making the stop. We have not heard of Rayshawn Benny all that much, but that's a big name for Michigan to have, the Detroit, Michigan native.
Yeah, Rayshawn Benny is going to be a special player to come for years down the road.
He's a prototype of Mozzie Smith.
Yeah.
I mean, a big guy right in the middle. 3rd down and 7 yards to go. Here comes 110,000. One up back to the left, 2 receivers wide left. 1 to the right, Tanner Arkin, that tight end. The up back now in motion, wide to the right. Michigan checks out of zone. Millen fires right side, incomplete. Nice hit by Jalen Harrell. But it was intended for Ajon Vivens. Another errant pass from Clay Millen, and Michigan should get the ball back. 47-yard line is where the ball is currently spotted, up to the 48 actually. So it'll be 4th down and 7. A.J. Henning will make his way back for the Wolverines, and Patty Turner, the Aussie, will set to kick it away again.
Yeah, so now the Rams 0-2 on 3rd down. They're going to punt it away. They've had the ball for about 4 minutes and 25 seconds.
The southpaw kicker, another odd kick. Oh boy.
He's consistent at getting it to go out at the 20-yard line.
Yeah, that's the 21. I mean, you and I are sitting right next to each other. The interesting thing on Patty Turner is he is Australian. This is the first football game he's ever played in. So this is all new for him, and it's a left-footed kicker. You don't see that all too often. Who was the NFL guy? Was that Janikowski? Was he lefty? From the then Oakland Raiders?
I don't
Big guy,
remember.
number 11. All right. Cade McNamara, the quarterback for the Wolverines, first down and 10. From the 21, Michigan's got a 10-0 lead with 6:36 to play. Handoff Donovan Edwards to the 25, bounces forward to the 27. He's brought down by a number of different Colorado State Rams. That'll bring up about 2nd down and 4 for the Wolverines. Chigozie Anusium on the stop for Colorado State. Be 4 yards to go for Michigan. McNamara claps his hands, gets the snap from the right hash, throws right across the middle. There's Luke Schoonmaker for the first time to the 35, extends forward to the 36. The officials will only give him the 35-yard line. That's good for Michigan, first down. He was brought down by Daquan Jackson, the linebacker for Colorado State.
Yeah, Schoonmaker, another tight end to pay attention to. We all know about Eric Hall. Looks like the student section knows about Schoonmaker because we already heard our first Schoon after the catch.
Cade McNamara, the quarterback, claps his hands, does not get the snap from Olu Oluwatsimi, the transfer from Virginia, and once a Remington Award finalist for the best offensive center in the country. McNamara from the shotgun, 2 receivers wide left, 1 right. Donovan Edwards gets the call right up the middle, tries to juke out of the way of 1 defender, but he's brought down at that spot. Only a gain of 2 yards, but kind of surprising he got 2 on the play. It'll bring up 2nd down and 8. Daquan Jackson again on the stop.
Yeah, surprising, but it's the offensive line again. Just that push that they get right off when the ball is snapped. Giving players like Donovan Edwards the opportunity.
2nd down, 8 yards to go. McNamara brings Donovan Edwards in motion. He'll join him in the backfield. 2 receivers wide left, 1 to the right. McNamara fires quickly across the middle. There's Ronnie Bell to the 45-yard line. There was no whistle. Still no whistle. He was almost brought down 2 different times. But Ronnie Bell will get a nice cheer from 110,000. And how about a standing ovation for the Michigan captain? That's incredible.
You gotta love it.
Tore his ACL in game 1 of last season, returning a punt in a dominant win over Western Michigan. And the captain returns. It's nice to see Ronnie right back in action after a long period of recovery from tearing the ACL.
Yeah, I think it's gonna come back because after initial review, it looked like his elbow hit the ground.
And now they put the replay up, huh?
I think the Big Ten commissioners tuning into our broadcast and
Sorry, Kevin.
telling the Michigan video board like, hey, we need a replay up there.
Still waiting on the call from the crew chief to see if this play will go under further review, and it likely will.
Runner was knocked down initially. After review, it was determined that he was down at the 46-yard line. Or it'd be first down.
When did they review that?
That was a quick review, and our crew chief was immediately on it. They didn't even go under the hood to say that he was down. It's still good for a first down at the 46. But Michigan will not yet be in Colorado State territory. Moving from left to right here in the Big House, 4:17 to play in the first half. Michigan in front 10-0 over the visitors from Colorado State. McNamara will move Blake Corum from to his right hip to behind him in the pistol. 3 tight ends in the formation. Here's a handoff. Blake Corum to the left side, trying to move behind a couple of blockers. He gets to the line of scrimmage, and he's brought down there by a number of different CSU Rams. And guess who? Daquan Jackson again is in on the stop.
Yeah, and this defense is keeping the Rams in the game early on. They forced Michigan to go 3 and out the first time. But this defense is not bad.
McNamara still playing quarterback. No snaps for JJ McCarthy quite yet here in this ballgame. He'll get the start next week against Hawai'i, for those wondering. 2 tight ends again in the formation. Blake Corum is the back to his left hip. McNamara drops to throw. Pressure starting to come. Fires across the middle. There is a flag down. There's 2 down. It's complete, and that is Cornelius Johnson for the first time. He's all the way to the 38-yard line, but it looks like these 2 penalty flags will likely. Are they going to go against CSU?
Initially, I thought it might have looked like a hold, like he was holding.
Michigan's changing up their personnel, so it's looking like this is going to be against Colorado State, and they're in the area of where you'd think a defensive holding would be. Near sideline, in between the hash and the numbers, between the 45 and 40.
Holding. Defense. Penalty is declined. Is over the play of the first down.
Yep, holding on the defense. Jim Harbaugh will promptly decline, and with 3:28 to play in the first quarter, Michigan will have a first down on a Cornelius Johnson reception. 15 yards from McNamara to the senior receiver from Greenwich, Connecticut. Clock continues to move. McNamara has a bunch set to the left. It has 2 tight ends at the apex. Corum is the back, the bullet in the pistol. Handoff. Corum back up the middle. Nope, it's a reverse. AJ heading to the right side. 35 to the 30. He's brought down. Thought for a moment it might be by the face mask, but it was right by the chest plate. It's a nice pickup on the play, and even Cade McNamara got my eyes to twitch. Yeah. That's the same play they ran for the touchdown against Ohio State to start the game last season.
That looked a little familiar, except wasn't it the other way?
No, but it was this side, this corner right here.
They were a little bit closer to the end zone.
Yeah, it was a touchdown. 2nd down and 4 for Cade McNamara and the Wolverines. Blake Corum goes on a swing route to the right, and now he'll fire across the middle. That's the old Texas angle route. Oh, boy, right out of his shoes. Blake Corum, a nice move to the inside. He's all the way to the 24-yard line. 1st and 10, Michigan.
That's what I love about Cade McNamara is he doesn't force a throw. You know, his pocket is collapsing. He's running out of time. You know, check it down low to your running back, Blake Corum. Don't try to force anything. Move the sticks. Get a fresh set of downs.
Super composed quarterback, and we'll get to see the more agile of the backs next week when JJ McCarthy takes over. McNamara has 2 tight ends in the set, 2 receivers. That's Johnson to the left and Bell over to the right. Donovan Edwards, the sophomore running back from West Bloomfield, back in the game. Here's a handoff to number 7 to the 20. Cuts it up the field to the 16, 15, out of bounds down the right sideline for about a pickup of 8 yards on the play. That'll bring up 2nd down and 2 for the Maize and Blue.
Did Donovan Edwards throw his name in the hat for, you know, quarterback? He's pretty efficient. 1 for 1.
I'll tell you what, he wants to do everything. That's about as high energy of a guy as you'll ever meet, Donovan Edwards. A trio of receivers wide to the left, 1 tight end. Joel Honigford is over to the right in a 3-point stance. Edwards still the back. McNamara claps his hands. Will now get an audible signal from the sideline. Michigan will throw up a couple of flags, get a new signal into their offense for 2nd down and 2. Clock churning under 140, 10-0 Michigan. Hand off up the middle. Edwards to the 10. Edwards turning his legs down to the 6-yard line. That's a Michigan 1st down, and they're inside the 10, inside the red zone one more time. Second trip to the red zone for the Wolverines. They're 1 of 1 so far. It converted 3 points, a field goal from Jake Moody on the last offensive possession.
Man, Donovan Edwards up the middle. He got contacted right away, and his defender had to literally hold on to him as he was moving his feet.
Here's some old school football. You don't see this too much anymore. The I formation for Michigan with 2 tight ends in the backfield, or in the formation, that is. McNamara turns, hands off right side. Corum cannot get away from one defender. Is that Daquan Jackson again? You bet it is. Wow. What a game he's had here in the first half.
Yeah, Jackson just breaks through that line, meets Donovan Edwards, a couple of yards in the backfield, and just brings him down. Wow, what a tackle.
You don't see Blake Corum go down all that easy.
No.
But now Michigan will substitute one of the tight ends for an extra receiver. Ronnie Bell and Cornelius Johnson will move themselves wide out to the left. Luke Schoonmaker and Joel Honigford in 3-point stances as Wolverine tight ends. McNamara will hand off to Blake Corum. Not a lot of space to run again. He's to the 8-yard line, brought down there. The officials will mark him down at the 8.5-yard line. James Mitchell is in on the stop.
So now 3rd down and 9. You know, Michigan's already in the red zone. What do they keep it on the ground? Do they test the air?
Now, Michigan will likely test the air here, but we're going to have to wait until the 2nd quarter. Michigan will take a 10-0 advantage in the big house all the way down to the north end zone, where we will see if the Wolverines can convert 6 points or make it just 3 for a 2nd consecutive possession. Amer, takeaways from the first quarter.
You know, it was a good first quarter. I'm sure everybody was kind of confused when Michigan went 3 and out to start the game, but then they come back, score on two plays, 80 yards to get in the end zone. You know, defenses looked good. You know, Colorado State, they're not bad. They're definitely not bad. Ronnie Bell looks good.
Ankle looks healthy.
The knee looks healthy. Donovan Edwards, Blake Corum, they both look really good.
I'll tell you what, for me, it's the defensive secondary. They look really good, and there have been a couple of holes in the defense, but that's stuff that they can get figured out, and that's also just play calling. But my star of the game in that first quarter, that's Mike Sainristil. I mean, boy, he looked like a natural defensive back after converting over from wide receiver last season. He made some spectacular plays, spectacular blocks last season that helped Michigan get to the college football playoff. But they needed a guy that could play the role of Dax Hill in this defense, and if Mike Sainristil can be that guy, Michigan might not miss a beat in the defensive backfield.
Yeah, that's the thing is, like, with so much talent going to the NFL or graduating, when you have players like Mike Sainristil, be able to be plugged into that. Like, I forgot which player it was exactly that was asked, like, you know, who's one guy that, you know, can take over for all the sacks that Aiden Hutchins produced? And the answer was, like, there's really not one guy. This is going to be a team effort. If everybody does their job, this is going to be the best defense in the country.
That'd certainly be something to see after the departure of Mike McDonald. Jesse Minter, takes over, and first-year guy into Vanderbilt. However, it's pretty much the exact same defense that Michigan ran last season. It's the same exact personnel. It's the same language, and that's something big for a lot of guys that had a lot of turnover. Lots of new faces on the defense, including a number of transfers that will play large roles this season. That's also very good to see for a Michigan team that brings in a brand new defensive coordinator after previously bringing in a brand new defensive coordinator. So Michigan takes a 10-0 lead into the second quarter. In the Big House, it takes 50 minutes to complete quarter number 1. And your scoring drives for Michigan. The first score of the season, a 61-yard screen pass from McNamara to Roman Wilson, and then Jake Moody. 30-yard field goal, and just like that, Michigan has a 10-0 lead over the visitors from Colorado State. Big House packed up pretty good. And what do you think? You got a guess for the attendance today?
108,800.
That's a pretty good guess. I'll put some good money on that. I mean, the student section would be usually filling in around this time.
Yeah, if you remember last year we went to Wisconsin, how that student section was slow to fill up.
Boy, they got there in about the third and a half quarter. They saw the scoreboard and immediately turned around. That was a fun trip to Madison, I'll tell you that. Well, after the media timeout, Michigan's going to have the football, 3rd down and 8. And they've got the end zone to go. 3rd down and goal for the Wolverines, leading by 10. They would love 6 more. And we expect the Wolverines to put the ball in the air here. Well, Donovan Edwards is the back. 3 receivers wide to the left, 1 to the right. That's Eric All, the big tight end. Colorado State shows blitz. Now McNamara brings all in to the formation as the third 3-point tight end. McNamara drops to throw. Pressure coming from his backside. He'll roll out to the right, nowhere to go. There's no receiver over there, and it's incomplete, out of bounds, 4th down, and Michigan will have to go for yet another field goal.
You know, the pocket collapsed. Cade McNamara had to roll out to his right. All the receivers were on the left side. There was literally nobody in that right end zone. Just throws it away. Michigan will take the 3 points and extend the lead.
And that's a full-on flood concept for Michigan, where they're trying to go all to the left and then hope that one is able to sneak open into a small gap in the defense. But McNamara, he rolled out to the right, and well, everyone was going left. Jake Moody on to attempt a field goal for Michigan. Brad Robbins will call the signals. Good snap, good hold. Kick is up away, and it is good. And Michigan has a 13-0 lead over Colorado State here in the Big House with 14:48 to play in the first half. Money, Jake Moody. There's number 2. Amer making another mark.
Money Moody, let's just keep the tally going.
And these are some of the scratches that you'd like to buff out in these first couple of non-conference ball games where you're not scoring touchdowns.
And that's
You're scoring points, but you're not scoring touchdowns on drives that realistically you should have touchdowns.
Yeah, that, you know, if this is like the middle of the season where you've had games underneath your belt, that's where you know you get some concern. But this is the first game of the year. You're gonna have those hiccups. You're gonna have those hurdles to jump over, and I'm sure that this is better for Michigan, because if they played a perfect game, this is humbling them almost. Where you have those, you know, those small issues that you can fix in practice, leading you up to the next week.
13-0 Wolverines. Michigan scoring drive, 14 plays, 71 yards, 6 minutes, 48 seconds. Colorado State has not had the football in quite some time. About halfway through that first quarter was the last time we saw Clay Millen and the Colorado State offense. Ajon Vivens deep to return for CSU. 3-9 record last season. Not very good in the Mountain West. Lost their final 6 games of the year. Ajon Vivens will not return the football. And Colorado State will take the ball first down and 10 from the 25-yard line. They had a tough go at it last season, losing 3 of their first 4, winning a couple of ball games, and then losing their last 6, including a blowout loss to their rival Nevada. Jay Norvell, the head coach at Nevada, makes his way to Colorado State, brings quite a few former members of the Wolfpack with him. Well, here's CSU's offense once again. Clay Millen in the shotgun. New running back into the ballgame. That's Avery Morrow, another transfer from Nevada. 4 receivers in the set. Millen drops to throw, pressure coming. He'll air it out down the right side, line for Horton, and it is incomplete. Nice defense from the Michigan defense. That's Will Johnson, the freshman from Detroit. How about that, Amer? It's nice to hear his name.
Will Johnson, man. You know,
That was good defense.
Harbaugh said there's one freshman that is an absolute freak. He didn't say who, but I think he was talking about Will Johnson because he came in like a sophomore or junior type of body level, and he's just a freshman.
And you got to remember, he practiced with the team in their college football playoff prep, so he's ready for games like this. 3 receivers, wide right, 1 to the left. 1 running back is in the game. That's still Avery Morrow. Michigan does not show pressure. Now they'll walk up a linebacker. Millen will get the snap, drop the throw. Pressure coming. He'll sneak away, and he will be brought down just beyond the line of scrimmage. That will be a scramble of about 1.5 yards for Clay Millen, but on the stop was Khalil Mullings.
Yeah, going back to Will Johnson, number 2. That kind of reminds you of some other famous number 2.
Oh, who's that?
Charles Woodson, maybe?
Heard he was pretty good. Timeout Colorado State before the 3rd down and 8 snap. And, well, you a lot of time you'll say this is the biggest snap of the game. In the first half, this might be the biggest snap of the game. It'll be 3rd down and 8. If Colorado State does not get the first down, Michigan can just churn clock, and all of that begins. Then you take a 3-possession lead, and this game all of a sudden is out of hand for Colorado State.
All right, 3rd media timeout. What do we got today? What's 3rd on the list?
Going to talk about premier ball games today.
Okay, let's do it.
Ohio State and Notre Dame will kick off late tonight, and so we're going to bounce around time-wise a little bit, but 17.5 points is the spread between Notre Dame and Ohio State. You believe that?
No. No, I do not. 17.5 for...
Oh, you think it should be bigger?
No. Nope. Because Notre Dame is ranked, 5th in the country? And, how is it that big of a spread? Now, I think they'll make the game close. I don't believe that they can win, but I wouldn't be surprised if they pull off the upset down in the shoe.
But it's a big season for Notre Dame, but you've also got to remember all the accommodations that the College Football Playoff Committee has been making. And honestly, it's a game that you kind of, I hate to say it, you root for Ohio State.
Yeah.
Because that win at the end of the season, if you're able to beat Ohio State on the road in Columbus, it makes that win even more important. And it kind of pushes Notre Dame out of the picture a little bit if you're able, if we happen to lose one game, if Michigan happens to lose a game, let's just say they happen to drop one game to MSU, just because that's the next premier opponent for Michigan, or Iowa.
We'll say Iowa.
We'll talk about Iowa, not MSU.
But I
you understand.
It's realistically, you could have Michigan and Ohio State both undefeated on that last game of the season, and then it comes down to, well, do both teams get in? It all depends on what chaos happens across the college football landscape. But that's going to be a really good game down in Columbus. Notre Dame taking on Ohio State. Ohio State, the media has basically given them the national championship. C.J. Stroud has the Heisman, which is very interesting. Because
he's a good quarterback. He's a good quarterback.
Yeah, I think there's a team down in Tuscaloosa that has a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. Also a Heisman quarterback that's coming back. But, you know, it's the
There's
Alabamas
also
of the world.
a defending national champion that's got something to say about it, too.
Yeah,
that was what I was going to get to next is Georgia and Oregon. Boy, Georgia looks poised to have another season like that.
Is it a hot take if I say Oregon upsets Georgia today?
I wouldn't say that's a hot take, but it's going to be in front of a Georgia Bulldog crowd in Atlanta. Mercedes-Benz Stadium will be rocking tonight, full of Bulldog red. 14-15 to play. Here's a big snap upcoming. 3rd down, 8 yards to go. Michigan on defense will provide 4 defensive linemen to Colorado State's 5 down offensive.
Yeah, right now you got to drop your best play because you had a media timeout. It's 3rd down. It's a crucial play early on.
Nevada transfer Avery Morrow is the running back to the left tip of the other Nevada transfer. Clay Millen in the shotgun. Gets the snap, drops to throw. Here comes pressure. Braden McGregor grabs him, can't grab him down though. Millen rolling out to his right. There's a flag down in the defensive backfield. Millen hurdles. He somersaults into the air. He was short of the first down by about 4 yards. He points forward like he got the first down. No, sir, you did not. You're about short 4 yards. But there is a penalty flag in the backfield. It looks like it'll be against the Wolverines. That's right about where defensive holding was on Michigan, or on Colorado State, that is, on their last defensive drive.
There is no foul for defensive holding. Result of the play is 4th down.
Well, there's no foul for defensive holding, and that'll be 4th down. I mean, you'll take that at 4th down and 3 yards to go.
Now it looks like the Rams are trying to decide if they want to keep their offense out there or not.
What a decision this would be. And here comes the punt unit.
Yeah, that's probably the smart decision to do. I mean, they might do a fake. You never know.
Guys, it's only 13-0 right now.
That's the thing is, like, if you don't get converted, then you give Michigan the ball. You give Michigan the ball with about 30, 35 yards to go to the end zone, going towards the student section as well.
Well, we get another look at Patty Turner. This is always a treat to watch him punt. That's a better kick out of the 3 he's knocked out so far. That'll bounce horizontally at the 35-yard line.
Punt takes a favorable Michigan bounce.
Well, we're good to see the Wolverine offense again. And once again, it'll be number 12, Cade McNamara. So Jim Harbaugh certainly sticking to his word when it comes to who the quarterback would be in week 1. Get to see JJ McCarthy start next week under the lights against Hawai'i here in the big house. 1st down, 10 yards to go, 13:28 to play in the first half. Michigan leads by 13. 35-yard line right hash. McNamara has a deep back, that's Corum. He'll hand off to him. Corum with a juke, slides inside to the 40. Right next to that left hash line. Pickup of about 4.5 yards. We'll call it 2nd down and a long 5. Defensive backfield for Colorado State. In on the stop. Multiple names, including Angel King, the safety.
Yeah, this feels like this possession right here is just going to have a big play, whether it's running back that breaks loose or, you know, Cade throws it deep, you know, another 40, 50-yard pass that ends up in a score.
2 tight ends in the formation for Michigan. They both hang out on the left side. That's Honingford and Schoonmaker. McNamara, hands off. Corum trying to get away from defenders. He will turn his legs forward, spin down. That's a Michigan 1st down. He was brought down by another safety. That's Henry Blackburn on the stop. 1st down, Wolverines. Troy Golden was also in on the tackle, the redshirt senior from Orlando.
Yeah, another thing that I'll mention about, you know, elite offenses is they don't put themselves in, you know, 3rd down, tough 3rd down plays, and Michigan was able to get that 1st down in just 2 plays.
Well, JJ McCarthy into the game for the first time, and he's in there to hand the ball off to Blake Corum. Right up the middle, Angel King and Daquan Jackson. Man, he is all over the place on defense. About a pickup of 3 yards. It'll bring up 2nd down and 7, right on that left hash mark.
I'm sure you've heard the saying of, you know, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. But Jim Harbaugh has somehow figured it out. And the thing is, you got to have 2 players that buy into the system. And I believe both JJ and Cade have bought into it.
3 receivers wide right, 1 to the left. Blake Corum still the running back, a workhorse on this drive. McNamara back into the game. Plenty of time to throw. Running out to the right side, dropped by Ronnie Bell. Usually a sure-handed wide receiver, has it bounce right off of his big mittens wearing those white gloves. That'll bring up 3rd down and 7 yards to go for Michigan at the 49.
They need to get those hamburger helper gloves out there, you know. And this is the type of stuff you will see early on in the season. Dropped balls, you know, just, you know, slipping up on the turf monster. Stuff that you can fix throughout practice.
Michigan on the 3rd down and 7 snap. 3 receivers wide right, 1 to the left. Donovan Edwards is the 3rd down back. Eric All is in the near slot for Michigan. McNamara drops to throw. Pressure coming. He's brought down. They're not going to call a face mask penalty. I think 110,000 thought it was a face mask, but McNamara was likely brought down by his chest plate. Big loss on the play. On the sack was Mohamed Kamara. No, he did not get the face mask. That's right above the right shoulder plate of Cade McNamara. 4th down and 15. Michigan will have to punt it away.
You know, now this is Colorado State's opportunity. If they're able to score on this drive, you know, they're right back in this game. You know, 13-0. Defense did exactly what it was supposed to do. You know, Colorado State has an opportunity in front of them now.
High punt for Brad Robbins. Melquan Stovall is back deep to return. That's a nice play on special teams by Iman Dennis. He makes the grab of Stovall, and he's down at the 16-yard line. CSU will have it 1st down and 10 from the 16.
It's tough to get anything going when you have a defender right on you as soon as you catch the ball. All right, media timeout number 4. What's next on the list?
I thought you had media timeout number 4.
Oh, media timeout number 4. Since we just talked about Ohio State and Notre Dame, who would you say is your sleeper team in the Big Ten West?
Well,
I guess I'm throwing you off. You didn't expect that one, did you?
well, I had one, and then they lost week 1 to Northwestern.
Oh.
And Nebraska
You believe in
was
Scott
my-
Ross? Or Scott Frost?
I believed in the idea of Nebraska simply because when you and I went there last season and we saw the environment they played in and the fact that their margin of loss was 0.
Yeah.
They beat Northwestern their first Big Ten game of the season by 49. They then played 8 more Big Ten games and lost by a combined 49 points. So I thought Nebraska was going to come back and be a somewhat decent team, and they still have a chance to do so. I think they're going to beat the brakes off of North Dakota today. But nonetheless, Nebraska starts 0-1. They're going to have to prove themselves now because Northwestern, that's not a particularly great ball team either.
Yeah. But they are coached by somebody that's really good by the name of Pat Fitzgerald. And, you know, I love talking to him. He's just such a great person to have a conversation with. You know, I ran into him at media days. You know, out of nowhere, he's just like, hey, how's it going? Like, I mean, I had my Michigan stuff on, you know, talk to him. But where I interned this past summer with TV, my boss's son played at Northwestern, and, you know, Fitzgerald is just a great coach that brings a lot of energy to his team. And, you know, I guess like a sleeper pick could potentially be Northwestern or Minnesota with Mohamed Ibrahim coming back. But I
what a
agree,
big get that is, man.
I agree with you about Nebraska, because that atmosphere last year in Lincoln was absolutely insane.
It was electric.
It was electric, insane. That stadium was full like half hour before kickoff. Students were there like before we even pulled up. Like, it was an insane atmosphere, and, you know, they couldn't do it. Luckily, it worked in Michigan's favor, but those are the types of games that, you know, helped Michigan grow, like where you go into a hostile environment like Lincoln, you pull out a win, even when the second half was, everything was going against you in that second half. Michigan played a clean first half, and then somehow, I don't know what Scott Frost said to his team in the locker room.
Adrian Martinez picked it up.
Yeah, Martinez, he played good. That's interesting, though, that Martinez transferred out of Nebraska.
Yeah, and it showed in week 0. It really did. If they had Adrian Martinez, they likely win that football game.
Now, how many games does Scott Frost have to win to
Save his
keep
job.
his job? Yeah, because
I'm not paid enough to say that.
They're doing a similar situation of what Michigan did with Harbaugh last year, where, you know, they cut his
Well, he proved
contract.
himself.
and, you know, the buyout's there. So it's like, hey, prove yourself this year or we're moving on.
And just like that, we're back to game action. 16-yard line for Clay Millen and the Colorado State offense. Michigan in front, 13-0. 10:45 to play from the right hash. 2 receivers left, 1 right, including a tight end. That's Arkin. Here's a handoff right up the middle. And he's brought down almost immediately. Only a gain of 2. Avery Morrow is the back for CSU. Brought down by the freshman defensive end, Dante Moore. Second down, 8 yards to go for the Rams, again from the right hash, 18-yard line. Michigan outgaining Colorado State by exactly 100 yards, 161-61. 3 receivers wide left, 1 to the right. Avery Morrow is still the back. 5 down linemen for CSU. Millen gets the snap. Pressure coming. He's hit hard by Dante Moore. It falls incomplete, and it'll bring up 3rd down and 8. But what a hit by the freshman defensive end. They talk real nice about Dante Moore. A big, physical, strong body.
You know, Dante Moore could also be that, like, David Ojabo type of player where nobody really knows about or knew about David Ojabo last year until he started getting into the backfield and making sacks.
Yabi Anoma is now in the game, the 5-star transfer from Alabama for the first time. Let's see how he comes off the edge. There he is. He is sacked down. Millen brought down by Anoma right on cue.
Well, that's a good way to make your entrance into the big house and make your presence known to 110,000 people.
He's been dismissed from 2 different schools, Amer. Biff Poggi, his high school coach at St. Francis in Baltimore, was his head coach. He's now the associate head coach at the University of Michigan. He brings in Anoma, and on his first play, brings down Millen for his first Michigan sack. Ball is punted by Patty Turner. A.J. Henning, he did touch the football. Colorado State might get the ball here.
I believe Colorado
Why
State
did A.J. touch the ball?
Yeah, it's very confusing, but I believe Colorado State downed it first. I don't know why A.J. Henning's
It was bounced around a couple of times, you're right.
I don't know why A.J. Henning's even 10 yards near that ball.
Yeah, what the ruling is, and that's the correct ruling, is that the kicking team was the first to touch it. Michigan will have the ball in plus territory to begin yet another drive. They've been successful on 3 of their last 4. Touchdown, field goal, turnover. From Reno, Nevada, Cade McNamara in his 5th season as a Michigan quarterback under center. Deep back is Donovan Edwards. He'll hand off to the sophomore, and he'll find his way back to the line of scrimmage, to the left hash line, but he's brought down almost immediately. C.J. Onyechi is on the stop for Colorado State. 2nd down and 9 yards to go.
You know what this game reminds me a lot of? A couple of years ago when Middle Tennessee came into the big house under the lights.
Kind of a struggle a little bit at the beginning. McNamara with 3 receivers wide to the right, 1 to the left. Donovan Edwards still the back. 2nd down, 9 yards to go. Clock churning under 8:45. In motion comes Irical across the formation. Handoff Edwards. Lots of space to the right side with a burst of speed. Will be brought down at the 43. About a pickup of 4 yards on the play. That'll bring up 3rd down and 5 for the Wolverines at the 43. Michigan has struggled in the 3rd and 5+ category today. Both times they've been in the situation, they've been unsuccessful. 2 wide receivers in the set and 2 tight ends. One of the tight ends, Max Bredesen, is in the slot left. 5 seconds on the play clock for Michigan. In motion comes Bredesen. McNamara, hands off. Edwards got to get the 1st down. Finds his way up the middle. He'll continue to drive those big legs, and he's got a 1st down. That's a pickup of 7 to the 36, right up that right hash mark.
Yeah, you know, like I said it before, I'll say it again. Michigan's just knocking on the door of just getting that big play because there's just so much energy and jitters, and as soon as they get that, big touchdown play or big pass play, I feel like everything will settle in and calm down. Right now, they're just playing on nerves.
4 skill players to the left, 3 receivers, 1 tight end. He's tighter to the formation than the receivers. Another handoff, Edwards. Man, they're just waiting on that long play, aren't they? To the 30, continues to drive to the 29-yard line. This is a Michigan football drive.
Yeah, 110%. First down, keep it on the ground, get 7, make it second down and manageable. That's Jim Harbaugh will take that.
7 yards on the play. Guess who on the tackle? Daquan Jackson. 2 tight ends again in the formation. Wonder what kind of play they're going to run here. 2 receivers in the set. Not expect a handoff, Amer. And there it is. Here's Blake Corum right up the middle.
There it is.
Corum to the 20, 15, down to the 10, spun down. First down, Wolverines. Yet another run for the Michigan offense. And, Blake Corum's first of the drive works out pretty well. The junior safety from Boulder, Colorado, Avery Blackburn on the stop. Michigan will substitute 1 receiver and 1 tight end for 2 of their bigger tight ends, Matthew Hibner and Luke Schoonmaker.
I think Michigan's going to try to get their tight ends involved here because that's where they were successful last year as well as getting those tight ends. And I believe it was against Indiana when Luke Schoonmaker, similar play right
broke
here.
out.
Yeah.
I would expect him to still keep this on the ground. Blake Corum in the backfield. McNamara to Corum, right up the middle to the 7, dives down and brought down. The interior defensive line for Colorado State, James Mitchell, is on the stop. 3 yards on the play. Second down and 7 from the 7, otherwise known as second down and goal. Michigan chipping away. They want a touchdown here. McNamara hands off to Corum. Corum with a burst of speed to the 5. Says goodbye. Touchdown, Michigan. They'll take a 19-0 lead. A beautiful block on the right side by the Michigan tight end. Pushes Blake Corum into the end zone. And it's a 19-0 split between Michigan and Colorado State.
So the tight end doesn't score, but he makes the block to let Blake Corum get into the end zone.
Honigford.
Yep.
Now Michigan now outgaining Colorado State by over 150 yards. 11-3 in the first down category. And Jake Moody, how money is Jake Moody, Amer?
About 3 times the money.
Bit of a stutter step to begin. He's got enough leg on it. The 5th-year senior from Northville boots it through the uprights. Michigan in front 20-0 over CSU in the Big House. 5:25 to play. They'll try and get Colorado State's offense off the field one more time. And Michigan, maybe we'll get to see a bit of a 2-minute drill rather than trying to run the ball the whole drive. You look at the time of possession, 15:55 compared to 8:40 for Colorado State, Amer.
Yeah, and it doesn't really feel like that. It feels like Colorado State's had the ball for a lot longer almost. Just because everybody's been like kind of so on edge. But, just about a 3-touchdown lead. If Michigan can get the ball back once more in this half, which they probably should just based off the amount of time of possession for Colorado State, and do that, 2-minute offense, but also go for 2 points. And, to take a 28-0 lead into the locker room would just be great.
Just because I know you get a kick out of this kind of stuff. And you're a betting man. Did you believe 30.5 when you saw this today?
It was 30.5?
30.5.
Yeah, they'll get there. I'd bet on the over. I don't bet personally, but
No, I'm sure you don't.
if you were
So
to
now
place a bet,
here. Next week, if you're Vegas and you're setting a spread against a team, Hawai'i,
100. This is why I don't work in Vegas.
Oh, goodness. Michigan scored 10 points in each of the first 2 halves here. 5:25 still to play. 20-0 is a lead for the Wolverines. This was a little expected, but maybe a little bit more for Michigan. I mean, you've got a 20-0 lead, but just a moment ago it was 13-0, and Colorado State had the football. So you can look at this and be like, man, this has been a bit of a disappointing first half for Michigan, yet they're still up 20-0. But I think that's because of the lofty expectations that the Wolverines had coming into today.
You know, expectations are through the roof for the Wolverines. You know, you're coming off, you're the reigning, let me repeat that, the reigning Big Ten champions.
One more time for the listeners that maybe didn't hear.
The reigning Big Ten champions. You just dominated Ohio State at the Big House in the snow. What are you going to do for an encore? That's the question. So far, you know, it's just the little things that Michigan has struggled with. You know, not being able to catch the ball. You know, tripping up on your own feet. You know, okay, Cade threw an interception, but that was overturned. So it's good, man. It's good to be back in the Big House.
Think we're excited to be back?
Slightly.
We're having too much fun.
I mean, Miami was nice.
Tried to wash that out.
If you watch film of that game, Michigan had their opportunities.
Oh, they did.
In the first couple of drives, you know, if Eric Hall was able to haul it in on that, I believe it was the first or second drive.
A couple of odd turnovers, too.
Yeah.
A little bit uncharacteristic of Cade McNamara.
But you also got to give credit to Georgia, because Georgia came out swinging.
That was the best team in the country last year. Jake Moody will tow it away into the end zone. Ajon Vivens says, no, sir, I would rather not return that from the north side.
I already got
CSU will take over 1st and 10 from the 25.
I got our topic for our 5th media timeout. I got it.
Do we have another media timeout?
Oh, 100%. We'll get one.
All right. You would not believe the amount of tea I had to drink this week to get ready for this football game.
Tea, not coffee?
No, I lost my voice. I told you this. My voice was completely gone 2 days ago. I'm working with about 55% of a voice, so sorry to all the listeners who think I'm annoying now. You've got me all year. Clay Millen, the quarterback, calls for the snap, does not get it. Another high snap. Avery Morrow is brought down from behind. Mike Morris will throw him down. It's a loss of a yard. Nice play by the big defensive end. Tampa, Florida. Second down and 11 yards to go. Colorado State continues to move quickly. You'd think maybe they benefit from slowing down a little bit.
Yeah, no, they had up-tempo. You know, they were thinking like, okay, we can get these Wolverines on their heels. But Michigan has stood on their ground.
They've been very sturdy on the defensive end. Now into the backfield is David Bailey, their top rusher from last season. A screen out to the left side. Nice play by DJ Turner. He was all over Ty McCullough, the senior from Moreno Valley, California. That'll bring up 3rd down and 14 yards to go. That's a loss of 3.
Now this Colorado State offensive line is really struggling, you know, to follow through on their play, because as soon as they snap the ball, the D-line is through the gaps.
I mean, look who you've got in the defensive front. That's 3 edge rushers right now. Jalen Harrell, Taylor Upshaw, and Braid McGregor. And why not just throw Mozzie Smith into the conversation too?
Yeah, we haven't said Mozzie Smith's name yet.
David Bailey still the back for Colorado State. Millen calling for the signals. Does not yet get the snap from his center. Jacob Gardner, another transfer from Nevada. Pressure coming on Millen. Throws across the middle. He's got a speedy receiver, McCullough, to the 30, almost to the 35. Was he out short? Nope, that'll move the chains. He got the first down at the 35. They needed the 35, and he got about 35 and an inch.
Yeah, it was close. It was very close. But nonetheless, they'll get that first down. 3:48 left.
That's a good concept by Colorado State. Everyone was sent deep except for the speedy receiver, Ty McCullough. Millen in the backfield. Shotgun formation. His running back is David Bailey, the transfer from Boston College. Their leading back a season ago, transferred two seasons ago. Throws a quick pass across the middle, in between the hashes. and brought down immediately after a gain of 3 yards. Melquan Stovall, big number 0 on the reception. The 2 leading receivers from Nevada make their way from the Wolfpack over to the Rams, following their coach, Jay Norvell. 3 minutes even to play. Michigan leads by 20. Colorado State trying to get on the board for the first time. 2nd down, 7 yards to go. David Bailey still the back. Millen gets the snap, drops to throw. Pressure coming, Michigan playing great defense. Now he escapes to the left side. He's going to run. He'll get to the 45 inside Michigan territory to the 49. The officials will mark him out at exactly midfield. First down, Colorado State, 2:39 to go.
So Clay Millen, he can run the ball. He can move pretty well out there.
He's only thrown 3 passes collegiately. He was 2 for 3 prior to today in a blowout win last season against New Mexico State. But now they've got it 1st and 10. Left hash from the 50-yard line. Michigan shows a 4-man front. David Bailey is still the back to the right hip of Millen. Get the snap, quick throw out to the right side. That's Torrey Horton, a talented receiver. Reverses field, gets back to the line of scrimmage, and he's brought down by Taylor Upshaw and Rod Moore. Well, you'd say it's a lengthy pickup of 2, considering he would have lost yardage otherwise. 2nd down and 8 yards to go.
Yeah, I wonder if that's how they drew it up, or he just saw that, there's all the Michigan defenders are on this side. Let's switch it up and go to the other side.
And you want to talk about switching it up. Torrey Horton scored 2 touchdowns last season against Colorado State as a member of the University of Nevada. Clay Millen was his backup quarterback. In motion goes Bailey out of the backfield. Millen will drop to throw. Pressure coming. He'll escape out to the right side. There is no flag down. There it is, but he's going to be brought down by Michael Barrett way behind the line of scrimmage. That's a nice play by the backup linebacker.
Yeah, Clay was getting ready to go deep, but once he looked deep, there was nobody to go, and, he just had to take the sack.
And Jay Norvell, the head coach for Colorado State, standing down at about the 34-yard line, motioning at Clay Millen to just throw that ball away. He saw the penalty flag go down, but Michigan can decline that penalty, and they'll just take a 10-yard loss. It'll be 3rd down and 19. Michael Barrett and Dante Moore combined on the sack. 3rd down, 19 yards to go, Michigan.
I was about to say, I'm shocked that Harbaugh hasn't taken a timeout yet.
They did, and they're going to have to add about 5 more seconds onto the clock because it started to run.
Yeah, because you got 3rd down and 19. It's going to be difficult, but you want to give your offense as much time as possible.
There's your media timeout, buddy. I know you're waiting on that.
All right, should we talk about, we talked about the Big Ten, who is in the East, who's in the West. Let's look at the whole college football landscape. Who are your early, 4 best teams that are going to make the college football playoff?
See, that's difficult because I don't want to add a Big Ten team simply because of bias.
All right, 3 teams. We'll leave the...
So, you know what? I'm going to do it this way. Michigan doesn't exist.
Okay.
Ohio State's in. Alabama's in. Georgia's in. Then you pick a random. That's pretty much where I'm at right now.
Do you believe that Dabo Swinney can turn it around after a down year?
After a year like that?
What about Oklahoma?
No, they lost too much.
Are you high on Utah?
I'm all right on Utah. You see, I really like A&M, but their schedule is way too hard, and there's never a chance that 3 SEC schools would be in.
I don't know if they can beat Alabama this year because there's a little bit of extra beef between those 2.
That'll be a fun game, man. Now, here's my question to you. What game are you most looking forward to watching tonight?
I want to watch Georgia and Oregon.
Be a good game.
It should be a good game.
I'm really looking forward, outside of Ohio State, Notre Dame, because that's where everyone's eyes are going to be, is Utah, Florida.
Yeah, that's another good one. If Florida can upset Utah, because Utah, I've seen on a lot of people's, projected top 4 teams making it, but I don't know. If Florida can beat them, then it's like, okay, well, Florida now has a quality win against Utah. They're in the SEC. They get out of the SEC, then Florida's in.
Right. I mean, I think the Pac-12 is easily going to come down to 2 teams. It's going to be Oregon and Utah. Maybe USC will be in there. I think they'll make a jump into the conversation, but I don't think they're quite there yet.
I don't know. Lincoln Riley, everywhere he's gone, he's been successful. He has his quarterback.
In his first year, though.
It's USC as well. It's at the Pac-12.
They could do it.
I think they'll be on the door, like knocking. Do they get it? We'll see.
Do they pick the lock? I'll tell you what, for those of you that are out there listening, these media timeouts are awful.
Since we got a minute,
Especially since we don't have commercials. We're student radio.
Well, okay, we'll talk about this. Big Ten expansion. Do you like the idea of adding 2 California teams to the Big Ten?
I like the idea of adding 2 more teams to the Big Ten.
Who are those 2 teams that are going to fill?
I wouldn't mind throwing in Oregon and potentially another school like Utah.
How?
Because I don't understand just 2 Californian teams. I don't get that.
You know, there was rumors that the potential, like, you know, the end goal is to have like, you know, 2, an East and a West, but an actual West and an actual like East, where you have, you know, those 2 conferences. But how long does it take before Notre Dame joins the Big Ten? Do they ever join the Big Ten is also the question.
Third down, 19 yards to go after the media timeout. Michigan leading by 20 over Colorado State. Clay Millen, the quarterback. Native of Washington, 6'3", 210 pounds, redshirt freshman, transfer from Nevada. His first collegiate start here today in front of 110,000. His running back is David Bailey. 4 receivers in the formation, 2 split out to each side. Millen drops to throw. Pressure coming from behind. Now he'll escape, try to run to the 50. He'll slide down well short of the first down marker. That'll bring up 4th down and what we'll call it 6. Michigan will not call a timeout. Colorado State will not call a timeout. And the Rams are going to go for it. Michigan's going to have a good opportunity here if they're able to get off the field. Here comes pressure. Jalen Harrell gets to him. Braden McGregor second in there. And Millen sacked down. 49 seconds to play in the first half. And the Wolverines will have an offensive opportunity to bolster their lead beyond 20, Amer.
All right, let's see what the offense can do. 49 seconds to go. About 7 yards?
Got to go 47 yards.
Maybe this is that one play we've been talking about the whole half where, you know, Michigan's just waiting for that big play. I want to see him go in the air. I want to see Cade McNamara throw it up to a name we haven't said, Andrew Anthony.
We've said A.J. Henning's name one time.
Ronnie Bell made a catch.
Landrell's not in the game right now. The receivers for the Wolverines are Bell, the tight end, all on the left, and Wilson and Johnson out on the right. Edwards is the back to the left hip of Cade McNamara, the quarterback. 5 down lineman for the Wolverine. 49 seconds to play. A speed option with Cade McNamara. Edwards to the left side. He'll be dragged down at the 42. Timeout, Jim Harbaugh. Right in the ear of the near side of the official. Gain of 5 yards on the play. Mohamed Kamara on the stop. 2nd down, 5 yards to go from the 44.
So 44 seconds left, 44 to go.
Michigan would have to get to about the 35-yard line, which is 7 yards away from Jake Moody's career-long 52. That's a quick timeout. The Wolverines have already retaken the field.
We like that.
We do like that. But I'll tell you what, Amer, thank you for putting on a wonderful pregame show today, and I'm excited for a couple of extra games we've got together this season, our last year with WCBN. 2nd down, 5 yards to go for the Wolverines. A trio of receivers to the right. 20-0 is the lead, 44 seconds to play from the left hash. McNamara will get the snap. Plenty of time to throw across the middle. There's Big Eric All to the 25. The 20 dragged down from behind. The Wolverines will have a 1st down. The clock will stop momentarily as the Wolverines will get reset. Brought down again by Mohamed Kamara and Chigozie Anusium. 20-yard line. Clock starting to run. McNamara from the 30. Throws out wide to the left side. That's Ronnie Bell. He's got it. A wonderful catch. Anusium in the coverage. Pick up of 4 yards to the 16. Three receivers now wide to the right. Same exact set that Michigan had before. Cornelius Johnson wide to the left. McNamara from the shotgun. Claps his hands, gets the snap. Here comes pressure. He'll just fire it out of bounds. And boy, did Cade take a licking from the Colorado State defensive end, C.J. Onyekshi. That's the transfer from Rutgers. He sacked Cade one time last season. Remember, for the longest time, Michigan did not allow a sack in non-conference play, and Rutgers was finally able to get to him. And Onyekshi from West Orange, New Jersey, transfers out to Colorado State. It'll be a big part of their defense come Mountain West play. McNamara, two receivers to the right, one to the left. Cade will drop, roll out to the right. He's got an open receiver, but he throws it out of bounds. Boy, he had Cornelius Johnson wide open, and he decided to take the touchdown shot to Roman Wilson. It's incomplete. Man, not only did McNamara have a lot of room to run, he decided to go for the home run rather than the bunt single. The bunt single would have been a lot of damage for the Wolverines because Cornelius Johnson on an under route was wide open. But Jake Moody on for another field goal. About a 33-yard attempt for Jake Moody, 2 for 2 today. Good snap, good hold, kick up, and it is good. And the Wolverines will take a 23-0 lead right before halftime. 11 seconds to play here in the first half. Before we hand the broadcast over to Ryan Dolson, Zach Linder, and Amer Bektas, he will help finish out the halftime before giving the broadcast over to the two youngsters here at WCBN. And hopefully I return next week with a voice. That'd be nice.
Drink up your tea, my guy.
Got to make a CVS trip after this game today.
I'll just, order something on Amazon. You'll get it tomorrow. 1-day shipping.
You're ridiculous. All for kicks and giggles now. Jake Moody. Why not try and boot one through the end zone? He's done a good job of putting it into the middle of the end zone today. But now I've got to make the long run all the way back down to the field. And poor me.
Oh, you're going to give us a field report?
You want to bring a wire all the way down there? I'll do it for you.
I'll call you in.
Sounds good, buddy.
We'll figure it out.
Michigan in front, 23-0. Jake Moody, the fifth-year senior from Northfield, will squib kick it. And Ajon Vivens will watch it bounce by him into the end zone.
It goes out of the end zone. Will be put in play at the 25. First and 10, Colorado State.
Now with 11 seconds left, if you're Colorado State, you just knee it and take it to the locker room?
Take a knee here.
I mean, the fans are already making their ways to the concession stands.
I might have to do the same to go get a pretzel, man. The pretzels here are fantastic.
Hey,
I'll tell you that.
Pretzels are great. Chicken tenders are always great.
Expensive, though.
But the press box food is back, and everything feels like normal again.
Oh, you've already...
French toast sticks.
No, maybe they did
eggs.
not take a knee. We'll probably give this ball off to Ajon Vivens and end the half promptly like that. Here's a handoff. Vivens to the right side. Junior Colson right there to bring him down at the 26. Pickup of about a yard. 3-2-1. And there's the first half. Michigan leads 23-0. And they'll head into the locker room on the far side of the field after a solid half of play. It wasn't fantastic, but a solid half of play for the Wolverines. And they'll take a 3-possession lead at least into the locker room. Amer, your final thoughts for the first
Here's
half.
my things. All right, you look at the scoreboard, 23-0. You did not let a touchdown go for the opponent. Check. 240 total yards. Check. You had a good half. You had a good half. Now you get to go into the locker room, kind of make your adjustments. I think, they'll be great. And we're still waiting for that one big play that just breaks the ceiling.
And my next question for you, too, is you're Jim Harbaugh or you're Sharon Moore or you're Jesse Minter? or even Matt Weiss, co-offensive coordinator, what's your message to your group first on offense?
The little things. The little things. You got to focus on the little things, because how many balls did this team drop that could have ended,
By a couple of sure-handed receivers.
Yeah.
And even a couple of balls thrown by Cade. It's a bit uncharacteristic for him to miss those throws. Now your defense. Your message is to your defense.
keep doing what you're doing. They're able to get pressure through that line. And, Colorado State's offensive line can only hold all this talent for so long. And you can already see towards the end of that half how they were getting tired. And you had, pick any player you want on that defensive line. They were able to get through and cause pressure. So, they just you gotta put the gas to the pedal.
All right, well, I'll just stop. All right, next question. What a way to end the first half. A name that you're looking forward to hearing a little bit more of in the second half, or maybe a youngster that Michigan...
Will Johnson.
If they've got a good Will Johnson, no matter what.
On the defensive side of the ball, yeah.
So for me, it's going to be Darius Clemens. I'd really like to see a couple of the freshman receiver get into the game, including Clemens and maybe Tyler Morris. I'd love to see some more of Andrew Anthony in the second half as well. But any other thoughts that you have before we hand it over to the crew of Ryan Dolson and Zach Linder?
No, it was a solid half for the Wolverines. We didn't have too many flashy plays, but they were able to keep the ball on the ground. And, you're up 23-0. There's really only so much you can do.
Well, Michigan outgains Colorado State by over 150 yards, and they take a 23-0 lead into halftime. Colorado State only rushes for 17 yards in the first half. And Michigan's defensive front, boy, did they do a good job. The defensive backfield was also great, including a nice performance by Mike Sainristil as we begin to welcome the new broadcast crew into the broadcast. Ryan Dolson, welcome back in. You did a wonderful job on the pregame show today. But I want your thoughts quickly on the first half of what you saw from this Michigan team. And are you impressed by the 23-0 lead they have heading into half number 2?
It's hard to complain. You look at a 23-0 lead, up by 23. That is a solid lead, no matter who you're playing. But it's really hard to look at that and just be like, I kind of thought it would just be a little bit more.
A little bit better, yeah.
A little bit better. A bit too many field goals than I was looking for. We had that great interception, get the ball in the red zone, stall out, nearly intercepted throw by Cade that just goes to a field goal. Just a few too many field goals, I think, in this first half for my liking. Cade started out, I think, a little rough around the edges, to say the least. After that interception, it really felt like Harbaugh didn't want him to be doing as many passes, really started to rely on the running game after that. And, since then, running game, they've got some big plays. We got a running touchdown in that second quarter. But, I'm definitely just kind of waiting for that big QB action that I really thought was going to be happening in this game. I really thought, especially in these first two games with vying competition between the quarterbacks, I really thought we were going to get some tickets to the gun show, players just tossing it downfield. But that's really not what we've been getting. Been a lot of conservative QB play, to say the least.
We saw one snap from JJ McCarthy in the first half. Ryan, do you expect to see a little bit more from the sophomore quarterback from LaGrange, Illinois in the second?
Not too sure. I definitely would probably say maybe a bit later in the fourth. I definitely, coming from the perspective of Harbaugh, this is Cade's audition game, as it were, and next week is JJ's. I definitely would imagine Harbaugh would want a little bit more footage, a little bit more of just anything out of Cade today. Definitely have not seen many deep throws from Cade. A lot of screen passes, a lot of short passes. Definitely, I think Harbaugh, I would imagine, would just want to get a little bit more footage, a little bit more practice out of Cade before subbing in JJ maybe for the later half of that second half.
And I asked Amer Bektas the same exact question. Is there someone in the second half, Michigan-wise, that you're looking forward to seeing? Maybe a youngster like the name of Darius Clemens that you'd like to see a little bit more of and get some experience under their belt? Some guys that we might see in important spots later in the year.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely what you just said. Name's already escaping me. It's just those jitters of being on air. But I think that is definitely a great big player that I absolutely want to see. We have a lot of a lot of defensive players. You know, we got a bit more young defensive players. This defense, it's funny, coming into the game, I was really excited for the offense, but a little bit nervous for the defense coming as we lost a couple key players, got that, new defensive coordinator. But really, it's been this entire first half, it's been just an exciting defensive play, and again, hard to say, a little underwhelming offense. They put 23 points on the board. They got 250-plus yards, I think, but I was expecting to see a little bit more out of the offense, and I was honestly expecting to see less out of the defense. So it's very funny that the opposite has happened so far today.
I think for me, the name, Ryan, is going to be Yabi Anoma. He had 1 sack in the first half, and Amer and I were talking about the transfer from Alabama right when he brought down Clay Millen, the quarterback for Colorado State, and we were just talking just like that. His impact was known immediately. He rushed around left end, was able to get right into the face of the redshirt freshman quarterback, and they've been providing pressure on a young quarterback making his first collegiate start today all day long. And they're going to have to do that as well in the second half, because everyone knows in football when you're playing against an offense called the air raid, when all they're doing is throwing shots down the field and using tunnel screens, bubble screens, underneath screens, they're able to come back quickly. But this is a young quarterback, and he looks a bit rattled right now with this Michigan defensive front. Yeah, definitely. Clay Millen, the QB from Colorado State, having a bit of trouble there. He's taking some hard hits, a little too much pressure. I'm imagining a bit more pressure than he would have liked. They've kind of forced him to make some sloppy throws, kind of taking the passes that he really didn't want. There's a great moment right towards the end of that first half. That QB was trying to look downfield. Michigan defenders were just rushing him, and you could see he was basically just bracing himself for that sack. He saw nobody open and just immediately had to end up swapping over. Joined here now, I got Zachary Linder, who's going to be joining me for the second half. How you doing, Zach? How excited are you for the second half?
Doing well here. Obviously, little underwhelming performance by the Michigan offense there in the first half, but nonetheless, they're up 23-0. Looking on pace to have an easy win to improve to a 1-0 start to the season.
Yeah, definitely. As I was saying a moment before you hopped on, it feels very weird to kind of, look at the score. You're up 23-0 at halftime, and you kind of look at it and you're like, I was expecting a little bit more, because there are some teams looking around the league right now. I suppose maybe now would be a good time for scores around the league. Some teams that are playing some easy opponents that I'm sure would love a 23-0 lead right now. We got Texas A&M only up 17-0 against Sam Houston. That is the number 6 team. Apologies. But my app froze. But it's definitely looking around the league. There's a lot of calm teams. Rutgers currently down 14-6 against Boston College. Maryland up 17-7 over Buffalo. And Iowa is tied with South Dakota State at 3 apiece at halftime. That is definitely an interesting one. Michigan has a game that I'm sure a lot of fans, a lot of players are circling. Feels like that should be the first, I hate to say real challenge, but you look at how easy the schedule it is. That was the first game that I think I'm a little more concerned about rather than any of these others. And to see them struggling against South Dakota State, I didn't even know they were playing that team this week, and yet they are tied at 3 at half. What do you think the implications of that one are? Because, we demolished them in the Big Ten Championship last year, so it's very odd to see what's happening here.
Yeah, definitely. I think at the end of the day, Iowa cannot lose that game. And I agree, you look at our schedule, I think it looks very similar to last year with a pretty easy non-conference slate. Last year, Michigan at least had the game against Washington, but then Washington had lost to Montana, who's an FCS team before, which kind of took the prestige off of that game. Michigan really, and it's probably not something they're proud of, but they have one of the easiest non-conference schedules in all of the FBS, or at least in the Power 5, and playing Colorado State and then Hawai'i and UConn, and then Maryland as their first Big Ten game. You compare it to the Rutgers game last year they played as their first Big Ten game, which almost turned into a trap game, but still that's a game they should win. Obviously going to Iowa, that is anything but a guaranteed win for Michigan. If you look now...
Kinnick is a terrifying stadium. I've never been, but from testimonies from friends, It does not look like a pleasant time to be a player.
Yeah, and even just watching on TV, you can see how, I mean, if you remember back to that Penn State-Iowa game when Iowa was ranked 3rd in the nation, that stadium looked just devastating to play in, and the crowd, I think, helped propel Iowa to a comeback. Now, ESPN's Football Power Index right now is giving Michigan a 70% chance of winning the rematch of last year's.
A bit higher than I would have expected if I'm being 100% honest.
Yeah, especially for I mean, I could sort of see that maybe here in Ann Arbor. I do think that's a stretch. I think Iowa will be a solid team.
Iowa's always a scary team to me. They're always suffocating defensively. Pretty much every year I can remember ever playing them except for the Big Ten championship last year. Iowa's defense has always been suffocating, and it is always just a slobber knocker of just who can get decent enough field position for that one game-changing field goal. That's pretty much what it's always felt like to me, at least.
Yeah, I mean, last year, Michigan was expected to win when they went into Indianapolis to face Iowa, but no one saw the 42-3 coming.
Oh, absolutely not. I was at a bar, and the slow realization of how much of a blowout it was expecting. The crowd, the audience was really just going like, is this actually happening right now? This is nuts.
Now, if you look around the rest of the league, and I think in the pregame show we talked about some of the interesting games that have already happened, is we've had a number of really good games. There really are no particularly interesting games right now. I think the one I'd probably circle would be Rutgers at Boston College. As being a Power 5 game, Rutgers obviously thought they were going to propel themselves forward last year in year 2 under Greg Schiano, but ended up 5-7 in the regular season, only getting into a bowl game when Texas A&M had to withdraw. But I think you look ahead in the schedule, a number of interesting games. You have the Oregon playing Georgia in Atlanta at 3:30 this afternoon, and then you also have Cincinnati at Arkansas. Cincinnati ranked 23rd, Arkansas ranked 19th. Oregon is 11th, and Georgia is 3rd. And then you look tonight, another 2 very interesting games. The headliner is number 5 Notre Dame at number 2 Ohio State, but also number 7 Utah is a 2.5-point favorite going into Florida. What are your thoughts on the biggest games to watch throughout the rest of the day, and maybe even through the rest of the weekend? You have tomorrow night what I think could also be an intriguing matchup of Florida State at LSU, and then Monday night an ACC battle between Clemson and Georgia Tech.
Definitely, if I'm going to be 100% honest, I have not had a single doubt in my mind since the game was really announced. I have not had a single doubt in my mind that Notre Dame is going to beat Ohio State. I frankly I don't think it's going to happen. I know a lot of people who are like, I don't know, man, highly ranked matchup, 2 solid teams. I'm just like, I just feel like in recent memory, Notre Dame just doesn't really win those kind of games. Yeah. I mean, obviously, never say never. It's opening weekend. Anything can happen. But I've never really realistically entertained the thought that Ohio State is going to lose this one tonight.
And I do agree with you. And I don't think we expected Ohio State to lose to Oregon early last season.
That's true. That's true.
It is true. I think Notre Dame Ohio State is kind of the headliner game of the whole week, and yet really it's a ratings game.
Yeah.
I mean, what is Ohio State? They're favored by, I think it's 17 or something.
I feel like it's either going to be, if Notre Dame wins, it is going to be like an absolute nail biter to the end, or Ohio State's going to blow them out.
Right.
I don't really think that Notre Dame's going to lose a close one. I don't think that's the kind of team Notre Dame is in recent memory. I just feel like I feel like there's kind of levels to college football, and I feel those 2 teams are just on two. Ohio State's just kind of on that ridiculous level that Notre Dame just isn't quite on.
Right. I mean, I think really you look at the powerhouses of college football, I would say Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State. Maybe you throw Clemson in there, but they did have the 3-loss season last year.
Yeah.
Notre Dame is just not at that level. They've made the playoffs a couple times, but they're really looking for that signature win, and they just can't find it. Last year cost a playoff berth with a loss to Cincinnati from the AAC, and then blew a 21-point lead in losing the Fiesta Bowl to Oklahoma State. And then they lost Brian Kelly after the season. They're kind of one of those perennial good yet underperforming teams.
I totally forgot they lost Brian Kelly in the offseason. What an absolutely insane offseason. That just so many players moving around, so many teams moving around, especially. I just have to say I'm so glad, despite Michigan winning this one handily, despite there not being too many exciting games on, at least yet, I'm just so glad that football's here, because I think it's just the time for talking is over. I think the offseason just takes so long, and the amount of hype up. What's this team going to do? What's this team going to do? What's it going to look like without this guy? What's going to look like with this guy? And I just get so excited that I think when we have definitive examples of what these teams are going to look like. How much does this game against Colorado State speak for Michigan? Especially how it's going to be later in the season, I don't know, but I'm just glad we have a physical example of what this team looks like, what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, what to work on. Because, I mean, you know, how important was the Western Michigan game to Michigan last year by the time they were, you know, in the playoff? By the time they were playing Iowa in the Big Ten Championship, when they were playing Ohio State, they really looked like two completely different teams. I saw people already starting to hit the panic button in that Western Michigan opening game, and that really wasn't the case. So I'm really hoping a lot of the things that I'm seeing from Michigan, you know, underwhelming performance from Cade, you know, running an offense that's kind of relying a little too much on breakaway plays instead of really consistently being able to move the ball, you know, red zone trips kind of stalling out. I'm really hoping that those are just signs of just an early team that just kind of needs this practice game under its belt that's really going to come into its own as the season goes on.
You know, and I think my opinion on Michigan as a team, last year their running game really good, their defense really good, their passing game was inconsistent, and that was the big red flag. To me, watching the first half, this looks like the Michigan of 2021, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assumption to make.
Now, of course, we still have the quarterback battle going on, and so I think Cade McNamara, of course, trying to win the starting job, this looks like him. Almost threw one interception. That got overturned on replay. He's 7 for 15, 128 yards, one touchdown, but almost half of those yards came on one screen pass.
That broke open.
Right. So I think, you know, JJ McCarthy, lot higher ceiling. He does have a lower floor. It's going to be about decision-making for him when he plays next week against Hawai'i. It will also be interesting to see if Michigan can pad his lead a little bit more, whether we will see some game action from JJ before the end of the day.
Definitely. I'm really hoping, just to start out this half, Colorado State is going to start off with the ball. Michigan chose to take the ball in the first half. Didn't do anything with it on that first drive, but that's okay. They scored a touchdown on the very next one. But I'm really hoping that Harbaugh kind of gives Cade more opportunities to shine. He really didn't get too many chances to, you know, launch the ball downfield. He didn't let him take a couple riskier passes. A lot of the plays that Cade were doing, it really seemed like he was kind of playing it safe. He was a little too afraid to make mistakes, and that really cost Michigan and really caused him to stall out of a lot of drives. So I'm really hoping that Harbaugh is looking at that, seeing he doesn't necessarily have all the footage, all the evidence to really decide on Cade yet, and I'm hoping he's going to let Cade go out there and really just try to win the position, honestly, in the second half. You're up comfortably 23-0, especially if the defense can come out here and put a stop to Colorado State almost immediately. Colorado State was starting to threaten a tiny little bit, closing out that second half, but some key sacks, some key players stepping up for Michigan really didn't allow them to get much of anything. So we'll definitely see how much confidence Harbaugh has in Cade, but it really felt like Harbaugh was just much more comfortable running the ball for a lot of that first half.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of what the complaints were last year. This Michigan team, they have a great running game. Obviously lost to Son Haskins. Still have the duo of Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. But you can't be just like being one-dimensional with the pass causes issues. It's the same thing if you're one-dimensional with the run. And we sort of saw times when Colorado State would just sell out on the run. And when Michigan's offense is that predictable, it's going to cause issues. We even saw their last touchdown drive in the first half. They literally did not throw the ball once. Now, maybe for one drive, they can get away doing that. But over the course of a game, and especially over the course of a season, they can't do that. They need to be able to throw the ball better. And Harbaugh, as you've mentioned, needs to let Cade throw the ball. We don't know how well he can throw the ball when he's not allowed to.
Definitely. I'm definitely, when you're playing a lot of those harder defensive teams, I mean, despite me being concerned for Iowa, I mean, it's not like they're letting, who are they even playing? I've already forgotten.
South Dakota State.
South Dakota State. It's not like they're letting South Dakota State, like they're trading blows with them. It's just a very tight defensive game over there at Kinnick, I would assume.
And that's
so
how
when you're
Iowa
playing
is as a team.
When you're playing a scary good defensive team like Iowa, like Ohio State, I would imagine, when you're playing some of those later teams that are going to have better defenses than Colorado State, you need to be able to swap it up. You need to be able to run. You need to be able to keep that defense on the toes, unsure if you're going to go with the pass, you're going to go with the run, you're going to, do whatever. We're getting to the start of the second half here, though. Kicker for the Wolverines is going to be number 13, Jake Moody, kicking off.
Colorado State won the opening coin toss, deferred, so they will get the ball first here.
Wolverines up 23-0 as the second half begins. Kick by Jake Moody is going to be call it for a touchback inside the 10 for the kickoff. Ball will be placed on the 25. Colorado State again starting off with the ball in this half. Something big I really want to see from Michigan. In that first half, they were 1 for 6 on third downs. Really just struggled to get anything going. It really felt like the second that a drive wasn't really coming together, this offense just kind of crumpled up and just couldn't get anything done. A lot of drives really stalled out. I want to see some big third down conversions here in the second half from Michigan. But the defense will take the field. Colorado State's QB putting the running back in motion just for a moment. Trying to get the defense to jump off sides. They will not, as he hands the ball off to the running back. Not going to get any more than a yard, maybe 2 for Colorado State. They're going to call it a gain of 3, actually. Apologies. 2nd and 7. Gain of 3 for Colorado State. Chris Jenkins going to be the one credited with the tackle for the Wolverines on that one.
And John Vivens there with the run, 3 yards. 6 carries, 18 yards on the day for him.
Colorado State really trying to get the defensive line to jump on those fake snaps, but they don't. Passing play by Colorado State, and they are going to get the first. QB finds the man wide open, number 0, I believe, on Colorado State. Melquan Stovall getting the catch, gain of about 8 or 9. I'm not quite sure.
10 was the official distance.
10 is the official distance. Ball now on the 38. 1st and 10. Colorado State choosing to run the ball right up the middle. Not going to get anything going on that one. 2nd and 8. Gain of 2. Michigan defenders right on top of the action for that one. 2nd down and 8. Colorado State going with the quick screen pass. Not going to get too much out of it. Michigan defenders right there to stop them. Colorado State has really, they've got that air raid offense, and they've really been favoring those screen passes, and they've worked maybe once, maybe twice, but for the most part, Michigan has been there to stop them. 3rd down and 6. Gain of 2. Ball on the 42-yard line.
Colorado State only with 68 passing yards, 25 yards on the ground. Less than 100 offensive yards on the day. 93 in total. With
Colorado
a 3rd and 6
State
here.
Unsure what they're going to call. QB in the shotgun. Again trying to draw the defenders off sides. Will not get it. Takes the pass, steps back, and he is going to be brought down in the backfield, maybe exactly on the line. They're going to call it down as a sack, loss of 1. Clay Millen brought down, not quite sure who's going to be credited with the sack. Chris Jenkins and Junior Colson called for that sack on the Michigan defense. 4th down and 7. Colorado State going to be punting it away for the Wolverines.
They have the offense on the field.
No, you're right. The offense is choosing to stay on the field for Colorado State. 4th and 7 on their own 41. Very interesting decision, and they are going to hike it. QB looking for somebody, can't find it. Ball will fall out of his hands. Not sure. They're going to say that was a fumble. Michigan scoops it up. Number 5 shakes off tacklers. That is a Wolverine touchdown. They're going to say the Colorado State QB fumbled it, scooped up by the Wolverines. No whistles called, nobody there to tackle him. That is going to be Turner, number 5 on the Wolverines. DJ Turner, the defensive back, with the touchdown. Referees are going to officially rule it a fumble recovered for a touchdown.
And we know there's a near certain review, but DJ Turner there doing what he needs to. Always assume the ball's live. Of course, Michigan gets pressure into the backfield, and they are not going to review this play.
They are not. Very interesting. I personally thought that was probably an incompletion, but clearly the referees disagreed. Great job by DJ Turner to scoop that one up and not stop running. Seeing that a lot of the players on Colorado State, some of the players on Michigan were confused if the ball was still live, but the whistle had not been called yet. As Michigan, Jake Moody easily nails the extra point to give Michigan a 30-0 lead over Colorado State. That was a tremendous play. Yeah, I guess so. He was hit as he threw. You can look around at the replay. So many Colorado State players, even a few Michigan players lingering around, assume that the play was dead. Look at all those Colorado State defenders. They're not moving around. They assume that the play has been over. But thankfully, one Colorado State man tried to make the tackle onto pushing him out of bounds, but thankfully Turner able to shove him off, running into the end zone. I can't think of a better way to start off the half for the Wolverines, personally.
Mike Morris credited with the strip sack, recovered by Turner. DJ Turner, 45-yard touchdown return, gets the Michigan lead up to 30-0. And looking at the replay, I think it was the right call. You saw that Clay Millen was hit, and it was that hit that was the reason the ball went forward.
Certainly.
He never really got his arm into a forward motion. I was surprised that there was never a formal review.
Yeah, I really thought. I was prepared to sit here for the next 5 minutes for the referees to look at every conceivable angle possible, but didn't even bother to look at it. Colorado State not even bothering to throw a challenge flag. I don't know if they'd be allowed on that play. I assume all touchdowns are automatically reviewed.
Well, in college, all plays get reviewed. Teams do get one challenge.
Yeah, so very interesting. Terrible decision by Colorado State to go for it there on that 4th and 7 play. That went as bad as it could have possibly gone. There literally could not have been a worse outcome on that play for them.
Yeah, and I understand the desperation here that obviously that they're down 23-0. They need to make something happen. To me, it's still too early to go for 4th and 7 on your own side of the field. I get it for in the 4th quarter, maybe if it's 4th and a couple yards. To me, 4th and 7 on your own side, I would have still punted there.
It is a true act of desperation. On your own 41, 4th and 7, Michigan was, I guess they were assuming they would catch Michigan off guard. The kick returner had to dash off the field to avoid any sort of penalty, but Michigan was prepared. Michigan was more than prepared for that one. They rushed the QB, they brought him down, and those defensive backs, those players were there to scoop up the football and keep running. Obviously those kind of mental mistakes are going to happen in week 1, on both teams. A few Michigan players did assume that the play had been called dead. Most Colorado State players assumed that play had been called dead. Definitely not a mistake I assume either side is going to be making from here on out for the rest of the season. You gotta always assume the ball is live. That ball is always live. We've had a lot of instances where earlier in the game, Michigan wide receiver thought his knees hadn't touched the ground and he kept fighting forward for another 10 yards, but referees called him down earlier, Worst thing that can happen is that the referees can say, nope, you were down, ball was ruled out, nothing's going to happen, but best thing that can happen is that he can take that thing all the way to the house.
We have 12-12 left here in the 3rd quarter. Michigan's up 30-0, about to kick it off. Clay Millen and the Rams offense will get the ball back.
Jake Moody again coming on to kick the ball off for the Wolverines. It is a beautiful day here in Ann Arbor, Michigan Stadium. Thank you so much for tuning in. So glad to have you all here. It has been such a long off season, and it is so exciting for football to finally begin. Jake Moody getting ready for the kickoff. Struggled a little bit to get the ball to stay on the tee, but he will line up, Whistle called.
And the ball fell off the tee
Ball
there.
fell off the tee there. Very odd. I guess I'm not in the actual stadium, sitting here in the press box. I guess we don't really know how windy it is.
I mean, you can see the flag out on the right side, definitely blowing a good amount.
Yeah, certainly. But the ball does fall off the tee there. Jake Moody forced to reset. Coming on for the kick. 12-12 left in the game. In the third quarter, excuse me, Michigan up 30-0. 240 offensive yards compared to Colorado State's 96. Ball will roll into the end zone for a touchback. Colorado State ball on the 25 yet again.
First and 10, Colorado State.
First and 10, Colorado State. At QB, certainly rattled. A true freshman for Colorado State. Definitely has to be rattled on that play. He has been getting pressured a lot lately. Plenty of sacks, plenty of times where he's thought of running the ball and got absolutely drilled after gaining a few yards, and just a lot of, that strip sack. That one did not look like a pleasant one to take. He is going to come out onto the field yet again, though, hoping for a better result on the last drive. They're going to wisely decide to hand the ball off to the outside. He is going to find a hole and gain about 10, maybe 11 yards on that play.
Brought down by Junior Colson.
That is going to be a 10-yard gain. Regardless, it is still a first down for Colorado State. Found a hole on the outside. Michigan defenders unable to grab him up until the line to gain for the first down. Colorado State QB in the shotgun. One receiver on each side of the ball. Running back also back there with the true freshman, Clay Millen for Colorado State. He's going to choose to hand the ball off again. They're going to go up the middle. Michigan players will be right there. Not going to let him get a whole lot. Gain of about 6. Ball on the 41 again. Colorado State hopefully looking to avoid a similar mistake they made last time they were on the 41. 2nd and 4. Junior Colson and Rod Moore credited with a tackle on that one. Gain of 6. Colorado State again, QB in the shotgun. I don't think I've seen him directly underneath the center once all day.
A lot of teams don't have any under center in their playbooks these days.
Certainly not. They're going to try to run the ball to the outside. Michigan defenders right there to stop him from getting anything. They're going to say he lost a yard on that one. 3rd down and 5 for the Rams.
John Vivens, he's up to 10 carries now, 35 yards. Tied with Clay Millen, who also has 10 rushing attempts for the team lead. But Vivens is clearly the number 1 back for the Rams. Probably expecting a lot more playing time with the issues the Rams have had in their passing game. Michigan does have 5 sacks.
Indeed. Mizzy Smith was credited with the tackle last play. Colorado State hikes it. QB going back for a pass. He is getting lots of pressure and finally brought down by Wolverine defenders. This man is Clay Millen, not having a great day at the office.
Just not good pass protection at all by the offensive front for the Rams. 6th sack of the day for the Wolverines defense, who obviously against the competition they have, but looking just as good as they were last year up to this point. The sack will go to split with Rod Moore and Mason Graham.
Yep. 4th down and 19 now on the 26. Definitely shouldn't be going for it here if you're the Rams. Low snap on the punt, but he will get it off. Michigan, number 3, catches it at about the 30, shakes off some tacklers, bringing it all the way up to the 40. That was A.J. Henning on the return. Gain of about 10, caught it at the 30, brought down at the 40. You can tell these Michigan punt returners, kick returners, they have been clamoring, begging all day for a return to showcase their skills, and they're finally going to get one there. Only 10 yards, but pretty impressive return if I do say so myself. Shook off some tacklers, tried to, keep going to the outside. Michigan will take the ball over, and of course, Cade McNamara stepping out for the Wolverines as QB. Not the best first half, but still managed 128 passing yards. He is going to choose to hand the ball off, and he is going to go to the outside, hops over the Colorado State defender. Blake Corum with the 11-yard gain for the first down. Running to the outside, hopping over the Colorado State defender. Brilliantly played, giving the Wolverines the first down and 10 on the Colorado State 49.
That's 13 carries, 76 yards for Blake Corum, along with a touchdown. He has had a very solid day up to this point. While the offense has while the passing game struggled a bit, the rushing game has now 123 yards for the team running the football.
Cade
Blake Corum leading
McNamara
the way.
trying to fool them with the false count. They're not biting for it. Cade fakes the handoff, decides to throw it over to number 14. Grabs about 4 yards. Yeah, 4 yards. That is indeed the call on the play. 2nd and 6. Number 14 for the Wolverines, Roman Wilson with the screen pass. Cade fakes the handoff with the screen pass over. It would seem, not quite sure. Timeout. Injured player. Yes.
Yeah, Rams player is injured. Not sure who it is. Roman Wilson had the long touchdown catch for 61 yards earlier in the game. This was his second reception, third target. This one went for 4. It'll be 2nd and 6 as there's now an injury stoppage. We'll go to a media timeout as they attend to him.
I really like that fake handoff to the screen. That was really well played. I think Colorado State kind of bought on it. And we are about to get the Slippery Rock update, my favorite time of any game. Slippery Rock, their season actually has not started. They are taking on Wayne State tonight at 6 p.m. We here at Michigan, we love Slippery Rock.
I read the history of why. I don't really remember it.
It was, I believe, the a previous old announcer for Michigan went to Slippery Rock, so he always had to call in, I think, because newspapers would never have the game. I think he had to physically call up the, if I remember correctly, he had to call up the school and say, what was the score of the game? So he would announce that over every time. Slippery Rock has played, it's been a while, but Slippery Rock has played a few games at the Big House, not against Michigan, against smaller schools, and it's always been a blast. Still currently on a media timeout. Michigan up 30-0 over the Colorado State Rams. The injured player for the Rams has been helped off the field. 2nd down and 6, 8:37 left in this third quarter. Michigan with the ball on the 45.
And back what you were alluding to with that last play action screen pass, you know, you will just think in fundamental football, part of what a strong running game does is allow you to really build the play action passing game. That's something that we'd like to see Michigan do more because they feel almost too one-dimensional in the run and unwilling to take that shot, go to the play action game, and catch defenses off guard. So then when defenses run commit, Michigan's running right into guys. So that's what we've kind of been talking about. Like to see them throw the ball a little more. Good start there. Obviously wasn't like a deep pass. Gets 4 yards. That's what you're looking for on the first down play. Cade McNamara now 8 for 16, 132 yards, 1 touchdown on the day. And with a 30-0 lead, I at this point would expect that more likely than not we will eventually see JJ McCarthy step onto the field.
I said this at halftime, I'm going to say it again. I really just want to see a bit more out of Cade before we throw in JJ. I definitely understand, but I'm from the perspective of we're giving JJ the chance to start off the next game. We're going to see what he can do then. We haven't really seen enough out of Cade. He started off really rough, a couple underthrown passes, almost a very ugly interception. You know, he was playing scared out there for a little bit. So I really want to see when you've got a very comfortable 30-0 lead at your back. I just really want to let Cade go off. You know, let him throw some deep balls, let him try a little bit of trickery, let him throw the ball. You know, if this is his audition, they're not really giving him too many chances to audition.
And, you know, it does create an awkward situation for JJ on the bench. You know, he's knowing the worse Cade does, the better chance he has of winning the starting job.
Play finally resuming. Cade handing the ball off, and he is going to be stuffed almost immediately. CJ Stokes was the ball carrier. Going to give him a gain of a yard. 3rd and 5 on the 44-yard line, on Colorado State 44-yard line.
First carry of the day for Stokes.
Indeed.
Only
Definitely.
credited with 1 yard.
Definitely in a weird position right now. A little too far out for a field goal, but too close for a punt. So very interested to see what kind of play they go with here. As Cade lines up in the shotgun. 3 receivers out. He will take the ball, going for a pass. Looking deep, will go short over to number 7, who might have been stopped just short of the first down. Not quite sure.
I think he was. Donovan Edwards caught the pass, looked about a half-yard short to me, and that's where they're going to put it, just past the 40.
Cade, Michigan staying, handing the ball off. I think that's going to be a first down.
I think he easily got it by a full yard.
Michigan deciding to stay on the ball, on the field, in a 4th and 1 from their own 40 after a 4-yard gain from Donovan Edwards, handing the ball right off into the middle, able to get an easy 2-yard gain from Donovan Edwards, giving the Wolverines a first down, fresh set of downs on the 38. Colorado State player going to be injured again. Timeout on the field for the injured Colorado State player, excuse me.
And with the 4th and 1 on the Colorado State 40, I don't think Michigan really was ever going to think about taking the offense off the field. But I do like the hurry-up play there, because obviously you kind of know they're going to run. Colorado State's probably going to commit to the run, maybe blitz.
Don't give them too much time to think about it.
Right, and they really
just don't
have enough time to set up, and Michigan just runs right through them. And they're more than content with the 2 yards, keep the offense out on the field.
We're getting yet another media timeout for the injured player.
7:03 left here in the 3rd quarter as the Wolverines lead 30-0. And yet it's still, as we've mentioned, it almost feels like they could be up even more than they are. Yet you can't be too upset with a 30-0 lead.
Absolutely. You definitely got to look. Colorado State player helped up. I believe that's number 42 for the Rams. That is going to be Mohamed Kamara. Yes, that is, I believe so, if I got the number correctly. Helped off the field, able to walk on his own. You always like to see that. Hopefully he's going to be okay.
Still have another about 2.5 minutes left before we return to game action. Hopefully getting the media timeouts out of the way now so that there aren't as many stoppages later in the 4th quarter. On the day, Wolverines have 262 total yards, 136 passing, 126 rushing. The Rams still have not eclipsed the 100-yard mark yet, 97 total yards of offense. Michigan's out has 14 first downs compared to the Rams 7, but each team only has 1 third down pickup. Wolverines 1 for 7, Rams 1 for 8. And I think from the Wolverine side, that's a direct byproduct of the lack of their passing game, because when you have to run the ball a lot, it makes it virtually impossible to pick up third and medium or long distance situations.
Definitely. You do have to remember Michigan did just convert on the 4th downs. They are 1 for 1 on 4th down conversions. Colorado State, not 1 for 1. I believe they're 0 for 2, maybe? Not quite sure.
0 for 2, we can check the stats here.
Yeah.
0 for 2 sounds right. Obviously, they had that. They had a 4th down attempt late in the first half, and then another one.
As the Big House plays what seems like the new anthem for the Wolverines, Mr. Brightside by the Killers. Classic anthem, getting the crowd all ramped up and excited.
First time of 8 this year that this song will be played here at the Big House.
Definitely feels like the theme of the team is kind of swapped between, it seems like they've got in the first half they do Pump It Up, and then in the second half they got Mr. Brightside. So we'll definitely have to see. Played in some big moments, feel like it gave the stadium a whole new life after these songs were played. So we'll see how the offense responds with, I would assume, the university, the fans' favorite song.
It is obviously tough from the offensive standpoint, and having the rhythm completely broken. Now, 2 full-length media timeouts for injured Colorado State players. Yeah, very close together. And we know media timeouts, they are not short.
No, definitely not. play will finally return in about 5 seconds. Wolverines again up 30-0 over the Colorado State Rams. 7:03 left in this third quarter. First down and 10. Cade in the backfield calling number 7 Edwards into motion. As he waits for just a moment, hikes it off. He will choose to pass it, launches it downfield, about a 10-yard gain. Launches was probably the wrong word, but it is going to be incomplete. Well covered by the Colorado State defender. Pass meant to go to, intended for 86, I believe. Luke Schoonmaker.
Tight coverage there. Crowd wanted a flag, didn't get it. 2nd and 10 now.
I feel like you could have made the case either way for a flag, but the refs will decide against it. 2nd down and 10. Choosing to hand the ball off, and he will get a big gain. Finds a hole for a gain of about almost 20 on that one. Beautifully done by number 23, C.J. Stokes.
Stokes getting involved a little more here. That's his 2nd carry of the game. Got a pickup of 18 yards there.
Michigan's running yards now officially eclipsing the pass yards. 144 rushing yards on the day and 136 passing yards.
Which I don't think for this team is a very surprising number. To
Definitely
see more
not.
running yards than passing
Cade
yards.
hiking the ball off, choosing. No, Cade will take the. No, that's JJ who will take the ball and run it into the end zone. That is a Wolverine touchdown by JJ McCarthy, coming in for Cade, getting a 20-yard touchdown run for the Wolverines, faking the handoff, taking the ball to himself, finding the hole, and getting the touchdown.
There's the read option play right there, bringing JJ in for one play because of his dynamic ability. You're not going to see Cade do a read option, but JJ is a much more mobile quarterback, and they take advantage right there. I think that's the first time we've seen JJ take a snap all game.
I believe he took one snap at the end of towards the end of the first half. Not 100% sure, but I think he just handed the ball off. Here's going to be the kick from Moody. Smooth sailing. 37-0. Wolverines. 6:08 left in the third quarter. Wow, we got to talk about that one.
And I think there is an argument you make, the way that there were positives of the way that JJ was used last year, and I think you kind of see some elements of it in the pros, the way, say, when Lamar Jackson was first drafted by the Ravens, he was used when Joe Flacco was still starting, or how Taysom Hill would be used with the Saints when Drew Brees was the starting quarterback. There is an element of where you increase the dynamic ability of the offense when you substitute him in like that. Obviously, you start JJ, you don't really have the flexibility to do those types of things.
Just a
Cade. Now that being said,
gorgeous run by JJ. They showed the replay.
I still think they should be starting the quarterback who has the better ability overall, but then again, if you put JJ in over Cade, you do open up more running options. Wolverines have been kind of a run-by-committee team, not really depending too heavily on one guy, as we've seen Donovan Edwards, more recently C.J. Stokes to complement Blake Corum, but you put JJ and you add the read option game, that's another guy on the field who can run the football. So you actually help the running game as well as potentially the passing game if you play JJ.
There's the kick from Jake Moody. Called for a touchback in the end zone. Yet again, fair catch, pardon me. 6:08 remaining again in the third quarter. Beautiful 20-yard run by JJ, giving the Wolverines a 37-0 lead on the day. I gotta say, if you're Cade McNamara, you gotta be sweating bullets watching that one on the sideline. Not having the most impressive game, let's say. Most of his yards, about half of those passing yards, coming from a screen pass that broke open, gaining about 50 yards early on in the game. Since then, started off a little slow and has since been playing a little slow. Feels, a little afraid to make mistakes as the Colorado State QB will hike it, hand the ball off to the running back, who will get a decent gain of, I'd say, about 9 on that one, maybe 8. No, we're going to call that one. Yep, they're going to call that one a gain of 8. I kept flip-flopping on that. 2nd and 2, gain of 8 for Avery Morrow on Colorado State. Second and 1. They're actually going to revert to that being a 9-yard gain. Ball on the 34-yard line.
A little bit of a quick tempo by Colorado State.
Catching Michigan off guard just a tad. Clay Millen in the shotgun. Nearly gets the Michigan player to bite, but they don't. That is going to be an easy run up the middle for a gain of about 3, maybe 4. Easy first down for the Rams. Rams finally breaking 100-plus yards on the day with 110 total yards here with about 5 minutes remaining in the third quarter. First and 10 on the 38-yard line, on Colorado State's 38-yard line. Clay in the shotgun. Going to take the pass here, looking around. Short pass over, and he's going to find a wide open man for a huge gain. Wolverines will trip him up out of bounds. But that is a absolute beaut of a wide open throw. Colorado State player going to be injured again. This time it is going to be number 71, Brian Crespo-Jaquez. Apologies if I butchered that name. But that was a big gain, giving Colorado State a first down and 10 from the Michigan 41. Got to be Colorado State's first play in Michigan territory in I don't even know how long. It has to have been a while.
Might be the entire. I don't recall them being on the Michigan side.
I feel they might have had a couple small plays that didn't really end up going anywhere. I think towards the end of the first half they had a few plays that they got driven back after a couple sacks. Not sure how much was that play for. How much? That was a 21-yard gain for the Rams there.
Crossing route to Tony Horton, and Michigan coming toward the near side. Michigan just was not ready to cover him.
Caught him by surprise. Play will resume as the player is helped off the field. Seemed to walk on his own accords. That's always a good sign. Colorado State getting ready to hike the ball as they will choose a handoff to the outside. Can't seem to quite find a hole, but will manage to get about 6 yards on the play, I'd say, for that one. I was like making the prediction of how many yards they got, seeing if I was actually right. They're going to say it was a gain of about 5. I was close enough. Avery Morrow with the 5-yard gain. Michael Barrett and Junior Colson credited with the tackle on that play for the Wolverines.
And you can see 26 rushing attempts, only 17 throws for the Rams, so they are leading run just like the Wolverines, who have 28 runs to 18 passes.
Very interesting. Colorado State, considered an air raid type of offense coming into this game, has not found a whole lot of success through the air, as Colorado State chooses to run the ball right up to the middle, and he will not get anything. Ball carrier stuffed the moment he reached the line.
They will give him a gain of 2 there.
They are going to give him a gain of 2. He wriggled forward. 3rd down and 3. Ball on the 34-yard line. Let's see what the Rams go for. Very heavily favoring the run on this drive, but they had that great crossing route that caught the Wolverines by surprise. He's going to choose to hand it off. Wolverines players trying to wrap him up in the backfield. Will not get him, but will tackle him before he's able to reach the first down marker. Not going to say he got anything on that play. 4th and 3. Now comes the question for the Rams. Do they stay on the field?
I think you have to.
Do they go for it?
4th and 3, you're in no man's land. I don't even think there's a choice
down by
here.
37. They are going to choose to stay on the field. 4th and 3 on the 34-yard line. As you said, too far away for a field goal, too close for a punt. You might as well.
And I think you got to throw it here. I think you run it up the middle. It's way too predictable, and the Wolverines will just snuff it out again.
Let's see what they go for. Colorado State calling a man into motion. Number 0 on the other side. He is indeed going to pass it. Can't find anybody. He is going to get wrapped up and sacked again in the backfield at about the 42, maybe 43-yard line. Yet another sack for the Wolverines. What's that going to be on the day? Do you have the number in front of you?
That's their 7th sack of the day. It'll be credited to Mason Graham and Michael Barrett. Just great pass rush by the Wolverines. And this is another huge issue with, I mean, Clay Millen is a 13 for 17 on the day. He has, which is a decent 76% completion percentage. He does have 1 interception, but he has 7. He's been sacked 7 times.
JJ McCarthy staying in here for the ball in the shotgun, calls him into motion, and he will take the pass. And no, he decides to run it yet again, gaining about 15 yards on the play. JJ McCarthy again. I don't want to be bad-mouthing Cade too much, but you got to hate seeing that on the sideline. JJ coming in, he has been electric so far on these 2 plays, running for great gains.
And I don't
credited with a gain of 18 on that play.
And I don't think they're going to let JJ throw too much up 37-0, but he's such a dual threat that gives him an advantage.
Definitely. It had me fooled for a minute. Really thought he was going to go for the pass there. He's going to go into the shotgun again for the pass. Short throw, maybe about 4 or 5 yards on that one. McCarthy, for his first pass on the day, will be a gain of 3. 2nd and 7 on the 37-yard line. Over to number 82, I believe, on the Wolverines. That is the tight end, Max Bredesen. JJ staying, of course, in the game, trying to draw the Rams off sides. Unfortunately, unsuccessful in that. Not a whole lot of, actually, a grand total of 0 penalty yards on the day. Very lax referee calls. He's going to hike it. JJ going to take the ball again on the read option as he... I mean, what is there to say? This man is just electric running the ball. Getting the first down for the Wolverines. Not sure what the gain is going to be called for that one.
About 12 yards.
12-yard gain on the read option for JJ. 1:10 left in this 3rd quarter.
And he was close to running a tightrope that could have led to another rushing touchdown. Just could not quite keep his balance enough to stay in bounds there. It could have been even bigger.
McCarthy choosing for a quick screen pass. Seemed like maybe number 1 for the Wolverines, Andrell Anthony, taking the catch, getting a gain of about 5. Looked like he maybe could have had a route to the end zone, but unfortunately, ultimately does not. Tackled out of bounds for a gain of 5. 40 seconds left here in this 3rd quarter. 2nd down and 5. Wolverines in the red zone. Ball on the Colorado State 20. As I believe that is number 10 taking the ball for the Wolverines. That is Alex Orgy.
Little Wildcat.
Taking in
their
the
3rd straight
Wildcat.
quarterback.
Yeah, and he is coming off the field again
That is a very
for JJ
interesting-
to hop in.
I just cannot figure out why they would do that. I don't know why you
Give the
put
third stringer a chance, but I'm not. I don't know. I really can't say I know. That was just an odd Wildcat play that they just ran to the outside for no gain. 3rd down and 5. Seems like the Wolverines are just going to let the ball tick out for the end of the 3rd quarter. Here in Ann Arbor, glorious Michigan Stadium, the big house. The Wolverines have a 37-0 lead over Colorado State. I'm going to get some thoughts. What do you think about that 3rd quarter?
Well, I mean, I think we still really haven't seen the defense is just continuing to dominate. I think the pass rush is where the Wolverines have excelled the most on the defensive side of the ball. 7 sacks led to 1 strip sack, scoop, and score. The offense, I don't think we've really seen much change. Obviously, putting JJ in. Well, I think at this point he's going to stay in for the game. I just don't agree with putting your 3rd stringer in there. You're basically playing your backup quarterback for this game. Right. And the other thing, so I don't think, obviously, I mean, you were hoping to see a little more out of Cade. The reality is with the lead being where it's at, that's just not going to happen. I don't think this is a real addition for JJ because I don't think Harbaugh is going to really let him turn it loose when they're up 37-0. Even though you can make the case they're going to win this game, so they should, that's just not how Jim Harbaugh coaches football games. Yeah, I have to wonder even next week, JJ's style of play naturally is more aggressive, taking more high-reward, high-risk plays, but I still wonder how aggressive Harbaugh's going to let him be next week.
I appreciate that. Was a very good letting him loose gag. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but the Michigan marching band playing the classic Blues Brothers, I Can't Turn You Loose, for the remaining student section here in Michigan Stadium. Emptied out quite a little bit, but understandable for the opening weekend game against a subpar Mountain West opponent, up 37-0 entering in the fourth.
Looks like the majority of students who came feel pretty comfortable that Michigan will not blow this 37-0 lead.
I mean, certainly from a student's perspective, you would hope, as would probably go down in the history books.
It would be a rather unfortunate form of history.
Yes. But we will see. As we said, the third stringer, Alex Orji, came in for one play for a Wildcat that didn't amount to anything. Very interested to see if Harbaugh is going to stay with JJ coming into this fourth quarter. Is he going to give Alex a few more snaps, or maybe go back to Cade? I really don't feel like Cade is going to be coming out for the rest of the game.
I
But
think
of
Cade's
course,
day is done.
can we get that final stat line for Cade then?
Final stats: 9 for 18, 136 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions.
Almost one interception, but reversed.
Reversed on replay there. Sacked once for 8 yards. Doesn't count as a negative rush by college statistical rules. Time of possession is actually slightly favoring Colorado State. They've held the ball for 8 more seconds than Michigan.
Well, that's the difference maker at the end of the day. That's probably the only stat line that Colorado State is leading in, I would imagine. I mentioned this right before the half. 0 penalties called for a grand total of 0 yards on both teams. A few penalties, 1 or 2 had been called in the first half, but both of them had been declined. So very lax referee job done today. Honestly, I don't mind. I think in a game like this, I don't think penalties are really going to be the difference maker. So, you know, sometimes you just got to let the boys play.
You do like to, especially first week of the season, it is nice to see pretty disciplined play from both sides. And then
Absolutely.
only, I think, 1 review stoppage for that, or I think maybe a couple reviews. But it hasn't been a day with outrageous amounts of super long delays.
Certainly not.
2:41 as we enter the fourth quarter. This game has a chance to end in less than 3.5 hours, which feels like a rarity in college football here in 2022.
Especially for Michigan. Some of those games went late last year. Wolverines with the ball on the 20-yard line. 3rd down and 5. I believe that is JJ in. Yes, it is for the Wolverines in the shotgun position. He is going to take the ball, looking for the pass, tosses it downfield, and that will be a first down for the Wolverines. Gain of about 6, maybe 7 on the play, over to number 3, A.J. Henning.
Then
No, what it's...
I believe that was.
Yes. I was confused for a moment. There's a bit of a glitch on the scoreboard. It said 4th and 3 for a minute. I said, that is absolutely not what happened. Ball on the 13-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Wolverines.
JJ now 3 for 3, 15 yards throwing the ball to go along with 3 carries for 50 yards and a touchdown.
JJ choosing to hand the ball off right down the middle, and he is going to just plow his way through Colorado State tacklers. Donovan Edwards down at the 1-yard line. Felt like every single Colorado State player was on him right there, and he kept on trucking. Wolverines choosing to hike the ball over to Edwards again, who is going to hop over the pile for another Wolverine touchdown. Donovan Edwards with the grab and the score, hopping over the pile formed at the 1-yard line. That will make the score 43-0. Wolverines coming up on this extra point attempt.
And there they go again, 1 yard to go. Just go with the quick run, and Colorado State really has no time to prepare. Just like we saw it on that 4th and 1 pickup earlier.
Jake Moody set for the extra point here. Should be an easy chip shot for a man who's been very consistent on the day, making, I believe, 3 field goals and multiple extra points. And, of course, smooth sailing. Michigan Wolverines 44, Colorado State Rams 0. 14 minutes, 12 seconds left in this fourth quarter. Very interested to see what kind of answer, if any, Colorado State has to this absolute beatdown of a second half the Wolverines have been having.
And you wonder at this point if Clay Millen's going to stay in the game.
I was
or if
wondering
they're
that
gonna
too. I was certainly wondering that too.
Especially with how bad their pass protection has been.
Definitely
do they want
don't-
him to keep getting hit?
Definitely don't want your starting QB on the season. Sure, he is a transfer. I believe a true freshman has just been getting absolutely rattled, rocked, shaked, rattled, and rolled all day by this Wolverine defensive line. Sometimes, you just gotta accept that this defensive line has just been too much for the O-line to handle. Put the backup in there. Don't let your starting QB get too hurt. You could look at it, say he didn't have the best game, but maybe just completely outclassed, it would seem. Here is the kickoff going way back into the end zone, called for a touchback. Kick goes out of the end zone by none other than Jake Moody. 1st and 10 on their own 25, Colorado State. 14 minutes, 12 seconds remaining in the game. Had their first plays in a while in Michigan territory last drive that ended with a failed 4th down conversion, sack after sack on that last drive.
Clay Millen's back out there, and you start to wonder if Colorado State's just going to do whatever it takes to hopefully get on the board and walk away without getting shut out.
As they choose to hand the ball off, and the running back for Colorado State not going to get a whole lot on that play. Michigan defender number 99 claiming he has the ball. Little celebration dance. Number 99, Cam Good, with the ball after the play, but referees are not going to say he had possession.
He had 4-yard pickup there, 2nd and 6. Did not look like he got the ball before the play had ended.
Certainly not. Referees are going to be inclined to agree. Millen trying to get the Wolverines, draw the Wolverines off sides. They will not, as he gets pressured, forced to make an ugly throw that will be caught by Colorado State wide receiver, as he will plow forward for 7, maybe 8-yard gain. 1st down and 10 on the 37 for Colorado State.
One of the rare times that Millen's been able to survive the Michigan pressure, get a throw off, and in that case, got an 8-yard completion to move the chains.
Certainly, 1st down and 10 for this Colorado State squad. I don't imagine Michigan has too many of their defensive starters left here in this absolute blowout. Shutouts are nice, but they are not worth your players' health and safety. Colorado State chooses to run the ball again. He is going to shake off some tacklers, find some room to gain, I'd say about 7 on that one. 6 going to be the official call. David Bailey, the ball carrier for Colorado State. Cam Good called with a tackle for the Wolverines, as well as German Green. 2nd down and 4 on the Colorado State 43. 12 minutes, 20 seconds remaining in this game. Colorado State again trying to get the Wolverines on the false count. They do not bite, handing the ball off. Feels like he ran into his own defenders there for a moment. 3rd down and 3, regardless. Gain of 1 on the play. Absolutely stuffed at the line. Nowhere for him to go. Michigan making a couple key substitutions here defensively. 3rd down and 3. Ball's on Colorado State's own 44-yard line.
And it feels like at times Colorado State's been able to have successful running plays, but not enough to string them together into a successful drive.
Certainly not. Just way too much pressure coming from that defensive line, forcing them to make bad throws or just sacks offensively so many times, as the QB will line up for the throw and manages to find someone on the Colorado State team for a gain of about 6. Ball is going to be placed exactly on the 50 for Colorado State. 1st down and 10, Rams.
That'll be just the 2nd 1st down pickup of the game for the Rams. They're 2 for 10 on 3rd downs. Wolverines aren't much better at 2 for 8.
Rams will choose to hand the ball off straight up the middle. Runner for the Rams will struggle forward for a few yards. Only a gain of about 3 on that one. Second down and 7 as Colorado State enters Michigan territory at Michigan's 47 yet again. Second and 7. Student section is really cleared out over there.
And the students who are still here have all congregated in about the first 25 to 30 rows.
Certainly. Second down and 7. Colorado State choosing to hand the ball off to the middle. Manages to find a decent hole to pick up the first down. Gain of about 10 on that one for Colorado State. Does seem like you were right. Does seem that Colorado State's hoping to just get something on the board, not leave the big house empty-handed. 10 minutes, 15 seconds remaining here in the game. Ball on the Wolverine 36-yard line. Wolverines up 44-0 over this Colorado State team. Getting some garbage time yards in, and Colorado State, I imagine, hoping to get some garbage time points, which are, of course, better than no points at all.
Has the looks of the most successful Colorado State drive up to this point, as they're going to burn a timeout here with 3 seconds left on the play clock.
Just couldn't get things going. Could not get the formation that they liked, I suppose. And it is going to be a full media timeout.
The student section never likes hearing that.
Never likes hearing those words, especially in a game that is not as close as it is. Why don't we start getting, you want to try to pull up, see if we can get some scores from around the league.
The Wolverines still up here, 44-0, 9:52 left in the game here. Looking around the league, you have Texas A&M in a delay as they're up 17-0. Iowa is up 5-3.
Are you in there? Oh, they're up. They're up. That is insane.
Rutgers trailing 21-15 to Boston College.
North Carolina State only up by 7 against East Carolina. North Carolina State ranked 13, only up 21-14 at the end of the third.
They are in scoring position at first and goal to go at the Eastern Carolina 8, so should at least get up multiple scores. As we mentioned, the most significant games don't start until 3:30. You have a couple more important games.
From soon-to-be Big Ten team, we got UCLA tied at 7 against Bowling Green early in the first. Got to start paying attention to those schools. They'll be joining our humble little conference within the next few years.
And have heard some discussion about maybe Big Ten expanding even further. But the problem with any sort of expansion, you look at a lot of Pac-12 teams that could potentially be of interest, because it looks like that's where the most of the expansion is. You got Oregon, Washington, maybe you go the other California schools, maybe you look even Utah, but everything hinges around Notre Dame and whether or not Notre Dame wants to come into the conference. So the Big Ten, I don't think, they still really haven't shown any signs of interest in joining the conference.
Yeah, Notre Dame really feels like they want to stay independent.
I mean, they have the media deal right now, and then if they make the playoffs, they don't have to split that money with a conference. But then again, NBC, who currently only has Notre Dame games, getting more involved as they're about to enter the Big Ten media world, I believe as soon as next year, for both football and basketball.
Can you, quick favor, can you tell me how much time is left in that Iowa game?
Iowa has 13:22 left in the fourth. They have the ball back.
5-3. If you don't like that score, you don't like Big Ten football.
But that's
the most Iowa score of all time, if it holds. And honestly, I hope it does.
I mean, I think I don't think we'll see a 5-3, but we definitely could see that type of game when Michigan heads out to Iowa City in a few weeks for what will be their first road game of the season. They play all 4 September games here in Ann Arbor. We are getting ready to come out of the timeout. 1st and 10 for the Rams at the Michigan 36, out of the pistol.
9:52 remaining in the fourth quarter. Wolverines up 44-0 over the Rams, who have not had a whole lot of offensive success all day, but This is probably the furthest they've ever gotten into the Michigan territory. Definitely have not been in the red zone once all day, as the QB decides to hand it off straight down the middle. Can't have gotten more than 1, maybe 2 yards on that one. Stuffed immediately as he reached the line. They're going to be generous. Give him a 2-yard gain. Plays the ball at the 34. Colorado State still with the starting QB, the true freshman Clay Millen, in for them, but he has been delegated to mostly handoffs this drive. He has been absolutely rattled all game long by an oppressive Michigan defensive line. So many pressures and sacks and just galore. It has not been a fun day for him, I imagine. He is going to decide to toss the ball deep downfield. Colorado State will catch it and is going to get on the board for the first time today. A 34-yard pass for Clay Millen, putting Colorado State on the board finally, suddenly putting Colorado State over 200 yards on the day. 205 total yards for Colorado State for a team that struggled to get over that 100 mark until halfway through the third. Suddenly, driving down the field, looking pretty good on this drive. Of course, going up against Michigan defensive backups. Hard to say how impressive it truly is, but regardless, points are points.
Trey Horton
would rather
with the long
come away
touchdown
with
catch there, just beating Will Johnson, the defensive back, in a 1v1.
And the kick will be good for the Colorado State kicker. Score is Michigan 44, Colorado State 7.
And
Garbage.
It appears we will have another media timeout.
So it would. Despite the points coming with less than 9 minutes remaining in the game, I still think it would be fair to refer to those as what fans like to call garbage time points. 8:59 left in this fourth quarter. Colorado State finally on the board, but let me tell you, somebody who's been on the wrong end of a blowout, garbage time points are better than no points at all.
Definitely gives them something to take away from this game. You look at Clay Millen's numbers, 16 for 20, 137 yards, 1 touchdown with an interception. The numbers themselves aren't horrible. It's really been the sacks that have been the
Just
big
drive
undoing for
killing,
that team.
really.
Yeah, sacks do kill drives. It's very hard to rebound from a sack.
Hard, especially
when
with
they're
how
coming on
bad
4th
some
down.
of the sacks have been. Maryland up 31-7 over Buffalo. Michigan will, of course, start Big Ten play end late September against Maryland. NC State still unable to score a touchdown against ECU, only up 21-14. Rutgers, none of the scores have really changed. Rutgers still down 15-21 over Boston College. In Iowa, my favorite score of the day, still 5-3 over North Dakota State. 44-7 here. Yet another media timeout with less than 9 minutes remaining. Very interested to see who comes in for presumably a time-killing drive for the Wolverines.
I'm highly confident it's going to be JJ. You see him kind of getting loose out on the field right now. I think the game is his.
Definitely interesting that one play where they brought in Alex Orji, the third string, still just
I did not
confused by
I did
that
not
one.
understand that play. You're going to give I mean, not that they're going to let JJ do a whole lot here. This is really about just trying to eat up 9 minutes and get out of here. But that
not 9 minutes, 8 minutes and 59 seconds, okay? Kidding. Kidding.
I don't think that. I'm not sure how valuable that 1 extra second saved.
That hey, that 1 extra second made all the difference on the kick 6 in that Iron Bowl years ago for Auburn. Alabama had to fight for that 1 second on the clock, and Auburn used it to score against them. I still love it. Probably one of the best games of college football ever played, in this broadcaster's humble opinion. Media timeout, still 30 seconds remaining. Stadium really starting to clear out. Can't say I blame them all too much. This game has been decided pretty much since that fumble recovery for a touchdown. The to start out the third quarter. It had really been decided before that, but that really felt like the true no coming back moment for Colorado State.
So Colorado State, for the first time since the opening kickoff, going to kick the ball off.
Any chance they try for the onside?
I wouldn't expect it, but you never know. I mean, we saw Nebraska in a competitive game try a surprise onside kick last week.
Up by
And
11.
Everyone knows how that went.
Yes. In case you didn't, Northwestern came back with 14 unanswered points, I believe, and came back to win over Nebraska, where Scott Frost desperately needed a win, as he is on the hottest of hot seats. Colorado State electing for a normal kick, as Michigan will take it and is actually going to run with it. Not going to get a whole lot of yards out of it. It's going to scramble all the way up to the 30. That is number 39 for the Wolverines, who takes it. Joe Taylor fielding the kickoff, getting all the way to the 28-yard line. Wolverines taking the field yet again. Colorado State finally had a response last drive, driving down the field that capped off with a 34-yard touchdown pass that gave the Rams their first points of the day. JJ indeed staying out on the field. You are right. This is his game, as he will take the pass way back, tosses it over for a huge gain of about 14 for the Wolverines. Not quite sure who he passed that over to. CJ Stokes, number 23, the running back. JJ scrambles to the outside after a little bit of pressure from Colorado State, unable to catch up with the rockets on that man. When he is off to the races. Almost surprised he didn't try to run that one for himself, but decided against it.
Alan Bowman coming in here under pistol, another backup Wolverines quarterback.
Interesting decision, but he is going to be relegated to a simple handoff. Number 15, as you said, Alan Bowman, I believe. Yes, Alan Bowman handing the ball off, getting his big house debut here under a 44-7. Feels unprofessional for me to use such language, but just blowout victory by the Wolverines. Alan Bowman staying in the game here. He is a grad student. Fourth string, I would assume, as he makes a great pass for a gain of 10 yards, I want to say.
Truly do have to wonder what the strategy is here with now seeing 4 quarterbacks in the game. That is not something you see in about any football game, other than maybe NFL preseason games.
Certainly
that 4
not.
quarterbacks play.
Matthew Harrison with the grab for a gain of, as I said, about 10. Bowman staying in the game for the Wolverines. Coming up on about 7 minutes remaining in the game. Ball is on the Colorado State 44. As he hikes it, hands the ball off for a run up the middle. Not going to get a whole lot on that play. CJ Stokes, the ball carrier, getting a gain of about 2. Second down and 8 for the Wolverines on the Colorado State 42.
And I think this drive might be Bowman's.
I would certainly say so. They're keeping him out. JJ got a nice little pass play that probably when they saw the Colorado State pressure realized is definitely not worth him potentially taking a hit that could rattle him up. As Bowman with another great pass. Gain of about 8 yards for the first down. Hate to say it, but
second pass attempt for him.
Yeah.
Both have been successful.
it's got a 100% completion rate. Who else can say that on this team?
Well,
nobody.
JJ does as well today.
Oh, never mind.
4
Never mind.
Bowman going under center now. He's been working almost exclusively out of shotgun, as has the team.
Definitely. He is a grad student. This has got to be a big moment for him as he hands the ball off to the outside. They fight their way over to the 30, maybe the 29 for that handoff. They're going to say the 30. 2nd and 6. As Xavier Dunlap, number 22 for the Wolverines, takes that ball for a 4-yard gain. Second down and 6 from the Colorado State 30-yard line. Bowman in the shotgun again, trying to use a false count to get the Rams to jump. They're not going to fall for it. Definitely not going to be snapping the ball so early in the count. 5 minutes, 5 seconds left in the game as he hands the ball off to the outside, number 22. A flag is going to be thrown. Dunlap, the ball carrier again, gets a nice gain on the play, but a flag might bring it all back. Holding is going to be called on the Wolverines. The first accepted penalty all day called against number 74 on the Wolverines. That is going to be Reese Atterbury, the offensive lineman, called for holding. Throw on the Wolverines way back onto the 40-yard line. Second down and 16. Clock ticking. 5 minutes, 15 seconds left here in this game. Wolverines hoping to just let the clock drip dry out, I would imagine. Bowman taking the snap, though, looking for a pass. Very lofty one over, and I think that's a first down. He's going to get the yardage.
Huge run after catch right there. Really helping out the fourth-string quarterback.
I believe that was number 18. Colston Loveland, the tight end, making the catch, bringing the Wolverines up to the Colorado State 24. Seeing a lot of great play being done by these second, even third stringers, or fourth stringers in the QB's case. Bowman finding the open man for a great gain.
A lot of players involved here. 14 with the reception, 8 with the carry for the Wolverines.
And 8, ooh! Bowman with a great throw over to number 81 on the Wolverines, Lewis Hansen. I have to keep checking at my notes because these are not the men you usually see starting in this game. Hansen has a great look on the outside, but slips out of bounds for a gain of only 4. Wolverines on the Colorado State 20. 4:15 remaining in the game. Bowman in the shotgun. Surprised they're doing so many pass plays with such a gigantic lead here in this one, but
feels like they're passing more now than they have all game.
Certainly, I would definitely agree. This time they will decide to run the ball up the middle. Not quite sure who had that one. Number 23 on the Wolverines, C.J. Stokes, the ball carrier. Gain of about 5 on that one. Third down and 1 on the Colorado State 15. Clock again continues to tick down. 3 minutes, 40 seconds remaining in this contest. Wolverines up 44-7 over the Rams. Bowman in the shotgun. Holding off, hikes it, handing the ball off, and that is going to be yet another first down. First down for this second, third stringer squad. C.J. Stokes with a 4-5 yard gain, I believe. First and goal at the 9-yard line. 3:15 remaining in this game. Bowman again continuing, taking the ball under center.
Truly a remarkable drive the Wolverines are having with their fourth-string quarterback and other backups.
Bowman decided to take this pass, fakes the handoff with a short little pass over to number 18 on the Wolverines, Colston Loveland with the catch. Not quite sure, not a terribly big gain. And they're going to call him down at the 7. That certainly felt like more to me, but I guess when you're out in the shotgun, sometimes those passes seem like a whole lot more. Colston Loveland with a gain of 2. Second down and 7 from the Colorado State 7-yard line. Bowman hiking the ball again, is going to hand the ball off. Stokes stiff-arming him, unable to break off the tackler. That was not Stokes, excuse me, that was number 41, Isaiah Gash, with the run. Gain of about 3. Third down and 4.
And the clock is down to just over 2 minutes, so the Wolverines have done an excellent job bleeding out almost the entire game.
Certainly. Wolverines continuing to let the clock bleed out. Definitely not going to be hiking the ball until under 2 minutes remaining in the game. Third down and 4 from the 4-yard line. Bowman all on his own in the shotgun. Seems like they're going for one last end zone shot. Oh! All almost throws the ball perhaps a little bit too early. Number 0, Darius Clemens, not prepared for the pass, slides back, unable to grab it, nearly falls into the hands of a Colorado State defender.
That's an easy touchdown right there, just threw behind the receiver.
Definitely.
Cost the Wolverines 6 points.
Wolverine offense choosing to stay on the field, although I can't tell who's starting right now.
I think that's Alex Orji.
Yep, number 10 choosing to hand the ball off. He's going to take it himself into the end zone for a 4-yard touchdown run. You are right. That was Alex Orji with the touchdown run. Just salt on the wound doesn't feel like an apt enough metaphor. That is just brutal against Colorado State. Wolverines throwing in their third, even fourth string quarterback there on an excellent touchdown drive. Lots of different players making some great catches, some great runs. Jake Moody, probably the only starter left on the field as he prepares for the extra point with 1:43 left in the game. Wolverines up 50-7. Here's the snap and the kick. 51-7, Wolverines. Orji with a 4-yard touchdown run on 4th and goal.
And I mean, honestly, that was probably second QB keeper they've gotten for a touchdown. That was probably the most impressive drive the Wolverines have had all game.
You hate to say it, but honestly, that feels pretty true to me. I don't know, maybe Harbaugh's looking at the wrong guys for starter. That was a joke. Do not take that seriously. I know Harbaugh is a very avid listener of WCBN, so I didn't mean it.
Well, with 1:43 left, we, as expected, have to get our media timeouts in.
Of course, gotta fit in those ads. Gotta see that Cheez-It ad. Newest episode of Fansville, one last time. Been an exciting season so far. For Fansville, I mean.
Of course, University Network here do not have any commercials, but that's what happens when you have an that drive lasted 7 minutes 16 seconds.
Alex Orji again ran the ball in for a 4-yard touchdown run on 4th down. Curious as to what Colorado State's going to do with the ball on the kickoff. I would imagine a few runs up the middle.
Yeah, I would not
get out of this
expect
one
anything.
as quickly and as can't really say painlessly as possible, because Michigan has racked up 51 yards on them. 28 total points here in the second half compared to the 23 scored in the first.
Yeah, I definitely don't think Colorado's going to go into like a crazy 2-minute drill. I think they just kind of run short passes and put an end to this thing.
Definitely. So what does this game mean for the QB competition between Cade McNamara and JJ McCarthy? What are you feeling? What's your gut instinct based on how this game has played out? What's your gut feeling?
Well, and I think we talked about that we really weren't impressed by Cade. Obviously, JJ's going to get his chance against Hawai'i next week. Now, the interesting thing to me, I think Harbaugh went into this leaning toward Cade. That's just the sense I had.
That was the feeling I was getting too, going into this game. I was like, why is he even doing this? He wants Cade as a starter.
Right.
But he doesn't want JJ to leave. And, after this game, I mean...
But if he starts Cade, JJ's still going to leave.
Yeah.
So that's why we'll see. I think JJ's going to have to play lights out next week, and I still don't think it's going to be a permanent starting job. I think Harbaugh would then say after next week, okay, JJ's going to start against UConn, and then we'll see.
Yeah.
I just don't see it being settled unless JJ looks bad next week, and then I think Cade would win it for good. Otherwise, I think we're still going to kind of be in limbo here.
Yeah. Some key stats on the game. Wolverines with 234 rushing yards, 206 passing yards for a total of 440. 25 first downs from the Wolverines, but only 3 for 10 on third down conversions. And only 1 penalty called for 10 yards on a drive that ended up as a touchdown anyways. Some things to be impressed of with those numbers, some things to be a little concerned about. As here is Moody for the kickoff. drilled into the end zone. Colorado State player just going to let it fall. Touchback with a minute 43 remaining here in the game. Wolverines up 51-7. First down and 10. Timeout on the field called again. You can hear the groans from the student section as we get yet another 3+ minute media timeout. Thank you so much for joining us here at WCBN. It has been a wonderful start to the season. Nowhere else I'd rather be than commentating this game. How about you, Zach?
Yeah, definitely always a special feeling returning to football.
Of course.
Missed it for about, over 6 months if you go back to the Super Bowl. And we've been about 8 months without college football, with the exception of the spring games in April.
Never really scratches that itch for me in the spring games, at least from my perspective. But we're finally here. College football is here. Week 0 is always so tough because you see those teams playing, maybe a few you kind of care about, but at least unless you're a Nebraska fan, in which case I'm sorry, or you're a Northwestern fan, you don't really get to see the teams that you really want on that week 0. So it's great to see everybody taking the field, all the teams across the nation for a wonderful, glorious week 1 of football. And Michigan has taken the field in spades today. 51-7 again. Michigan's time of possession, 30 minutes, 30 seconds compared to Colorado State's 27-47. Minute 43 remaining on the clock.
Michigan football will return next week, next Saturday at 8 p.m. against Hawai'i. That game will be covered on WCBN Sports here, as will all games. That game will also be broadcast on the FM network for those of you in the Ann Arbor area.
88.3 WCBN FM Ann Arbor Radio.
And WCBN Sports coverage will continue throughout the weekend as the volleyball team looks for a sweep of the Michigan Invitational as they host Loyola Chicago 4:30 today. The field hockey team will also play at 1 o'clock tomorrow. Both games will be broadcast here on the WCBN Sports YouTube channel.
Some odd moment with the audio there, at least from the big house, not from us. We have been crystal clear all game. Absolutely no issues, right?
We had a brief issue in the pregame show, but we've been nowhere near the issues that we had while attempting the volleyball broadcast yesterday afternoon.
Certainly. Media timeout starting to slowly crawl to a close. A minute 43 remaining to be played in this game. I imagine Colorado State just wants to hit the bus, hit the plane, whatever they're going to take to send them back on the long road back to Colorado. It has been a long game for them. 3:17 currently, going to get this game over with in under 3.5 hours, unless this minute 43 takes a lifetime. Hopefully it does not. But as we said, very rarely do we get to see games, college football games, especially Michigan games, take under 3.5 hours. So very thankful for that on this blessed day of college football's glorious full return. Colorado State taking the ball in the shotgun. Don't imagine they're going to do anything more than a run up the middle, which they do, as they are going to be stuffed before they can get more than, I'd say, about 3 yards. Going to do a quick little update, see if there's any important scores happening, mainly because I just want to know what's happening in that Iowa game. Let's see how's it going. North Carolina State still only up 21-14 over East Carolina. Rutgers up 22-21 over Boston College. Colorado State hiking the ball, running to the outside. Not going to get a whole lot. Gain of maybe 3 on that one. 3rd down for the Rams. Not sure what the yardage is going to be. Looks like a 3rd down and 4. 3rd down and 3 is going to be the official call from the Colorado State 32. I am proud to announce Iowa is still only up 5-3 over South Dakota State. Here's the snap for Colorado. He is going to be wrapped up before he can get the first down, and I imagine that is going to be the last play of the game. 4th down and 1 for Colorado State. 30 seconds remaining. Play clock at 40. Colorado State communing with the sidelines if it's even worth the effort. 4th down and 1. Clock ticking down. Under 15 seconds remaining. Play clock unavailable as of now. 10 seconds. Looks like Colorado State wants to get this very last play off. 4th down and 1. Let's see what they go for. Trying to draw Michigan offsides. They hike it, run the ball to the outside. They will get the first down, whatever that means for the Rams. Gain of about 4, maybe 5 on the play. First down for the Rams, but time will expire. Final score here in the Big House at Michigan Stadium. Your Michigan Wolverines 51, Colorado State Rams 7. What are some immediate gut feelings, gut instincts, gut reactions on that game, Zach?
Well, the defensive front outstanding. The running game looks solid. I think still some question marks in the passing game that we saw earlier, which I think at times we saw it hurt the run game when Colorado State was able to run commit pretty successfully for moments. But this is one game out of 12. There's a lot of football left to see. Next week will obviously be interesting with JJ McCarthy starting. But on the whole, you can never complain about a 51-7 win.
Exactly. Feels very spoiled, very privileged to complain about a 51-7 victory for the Wolverines, and yet there's still a lot that definitely needs work. Of course, Michigan going to be playing Hawaii next week, Saturday, September 10th at 8 p.m. under the lights. We'll see you there. Do you have any final thoughts on the game, Zach? Anything you want to say to our beloved audience?
I think we've kind of covered the big points, obviously. Dominant, if the score expresses the dominance Michigan had. Passing game at the start of the game saw some issues, but it almost looked better as the game went on. Probably as Colorado State transitioned toward their backups. And I think all in all, it was a successful day for Michigan as they expected it to be.
Well put. Thank you so much for joining us here on this broadcast of WCBN Radio Ann Arbor. Your final score again, Wolverines 51, Colorado State 7. I'm Ryan Dolson, and for Zachary Linder, we say thank you, and always, of course, go Blue.